Wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, mziki wa kata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington DC. We will shortly be going live on YouTube, so call all your YouTube friends. Please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The One Mic Show. We are now on TikTok, so please follow us on TikTok and also follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show. We're also taking live calls, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We wanna hear from you. We wanna know your thoughts. We wanna know what you've been up to this week. Now, later tonight, we're gonna be talking about whether artists should be paid for interviews, radio and TV interviews. And I think if we get an opportunity, we're going to talk to Mubelwa Bandio, who, of course, as you know, is our producer here, is a professional journalist, just to give us a briefing on the ethics about paying someone for an interview. What is allowed ethically, what is not allowed, and at what point should a media house pay an artist who's coming to do an interview? Is there any value artists coming to a radio show or a TV show to do interviews? These are some of the things that we're gonna be talking about later on tonight. So please start dropping your comments below on your thoughts about this. Na bila kusahau, already tunapokea mziki kutoka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Moshfire, na tutadunda kule viwanjani. Mika Och leo hayuko, lakini bado akona nambari 7 mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mnite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Karibu.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this hour we're going to be talking about President RUTO's upcoming visit to the U.S. We're also going to be talking about home demolitions in slum areas in Kenya and why they're not demolishing houses in other high market areas. And also we're going to talk about diaspora's role in national disasters. Should we just shut up and wait and see what the government will do, or is there a role that we should play to make it easier for people who are experiencing, the after disaster blues? Now, I'm your host and producer Ali Badawi. It's Friday the 10th of May, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington DC. Please remember to follow The One Mic Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. TikTok is live now, no longer coming soon, so make sure you follow us on TikTok. On panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mike Amakawa. Our sports anchor Mika Och is still out tonight. He's not going to be there. And our resident DJ Moshfire is already live on the decks. And not forgetting super producer Mubelwa Bandio, who we're going to hope to jump onto the show a little bit later on to just give us, a hint about what journalism ethics say regarding paying people that you are interviewing. People have requested us to pay them, but we keep reminding them that sisi hapa we don't make money, so we can't pay you. But anyway, I want to take this opportunity to welcome all the listeners. I can already see Washekendi Rangwe is in the building. I can see Udi Madhenge yuko ndani in the building. Karibu sana Udi Madhenge. Doreen Florence, karibu sana. Tefia Chapa, welcome to the One Mic Show. I can see Brian Nyamu, karibu sana. Karibu sana. Slay is also in the building. Thank you so much for tuning in. So feel free to drop your comments about these topics that we're going to be talking about. Today is also a Random Friday. If there's a random topic that maybe you wanted us to talk about that we haven't talked about yet this year, feel free to drop it there.
IULs.
Yes, and we will be talking about that. IULs, yo tutongea baadaye yo hapo. But yeah, and I can also see Baba Rehema is in the building too. Karibu sana. Remember, Baba Rehema, that your spot is still here. You were supposed to be here since January. I think I blame this on One Mic. He was supposed to schedule you, but he hasn't.
No. He decided to take a trip. Let us just say this.
From January.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
March, alienda home. Amerudi. Right now he's going for a trip. Sijui what. Always excuses. But I think the person I need to go to
is Mama Rehema.
Because Baba Rehema hana sauti.
Okay, wait. Are you saying that he came back from a trip, he's gone back on a trip, and he's going for a trip?
Yes.
Okay. So this will be a follow-up.
You have been warned.
Yeah, this will be a follow-up to the interview we had last year of Rehema and Jide on Gen Zs. We want to talk to the Gen Z parents.
Yes.
On the experience of parenting Gen Zs as a first-generation parent.
That was a scary show.
Karibu sana, DJ Moshfire. What do you remember about the show?
That show, ilitupiga butwa.
Why do you say that?
You know, that whole, what Rehema kept saying, or what Rehema was saying, that she was in a period of, and it was during COVID, when it was Depression Central, that was, I guess, COVID probably even added to it. And on top of that, you know, that not identifying whether you're Kenyan, whether you're American, and then there's this disconnect in the world that you're in, and no one knows the disconnect except you. That's basically what I got out of it.
Yes, you can't talk to your parents. There's no one you can talk to explain your disconnect.
Other than, say, Jide or like folks like that, because even he had that, I guess they were character developed in what? Was it middle school?
It was middle school.
It was middle school.
was the
right?
Was the peak of character development.
Yes. And then now
I just remember Oreo, the term.
It's bad. So you know, these are the times when you tell Paros, maybe you should name your child John Smith. Just maybe they might fit in, but I don't think so, because it's in the express. You're still.
But you name your child John Smith and they look all African. I did not even think about that. That as a black African, you have distinct features.
Correct.
That others will notice that
yes.
you're not.
Yes.
So because I always thought that if you're born with the accent, you have the accent, so you'll get away with
but
it.
also don't forget.
No.
Don't forget. You have those parent-teacher conferences, or you've got events, so your parents have to show up.
Your parents, yes.
Yeah. So your parents over there,
I don't even think it's that part of the parents.
There's also that.
I think it's what I hear what you're saying, but I think what Ali is saying, because
mine is to naming them like John Smith.
Understood.
But even if they're called John Smith, there's an event. All parents are coming in.
Okay.
Muko hapo, mimi niko hapo, pengine nimeinvitiwa as an uncle, whatever. Then I'm like, weka there, niaje,
No, you can't say Mother Godanios in those meetings.
No, but
I hope you've learned.
But if I'm talking to Baba Hanya, even
we're not authorizing.
I can't say Mother Godania.
No, we're not authorizing you to use those
But I
languages.
think an important thing is for, especially now, as we know, I think it was last week when people won, the green cards were announced. For new people who are coming to the US, especially if you have a family, your parent, you have children who you're going to be raising here, I think it's important to have a base of people that you can learn from here, you know, because you should come here not with the same ideas that you had of parenting back home. There's a lot of moving parts here that you would just not know. So I think it would
like
be
disciplining your child.
Or
leaving your child in the car ati umeingia ndani ya duka.
Yeah. So I think those
you know,
small details.
Yeah, there are some things that, you know, we take for granted.
Ama kubeba mtoi mbele ya gari bila child seat.
Yes.
You're a child seat utajua, but then there are those things like, for example, like what parents look for in school in Kenya and what you should look out for here when your child is in a school here. Two totally different things.
But here's another thing, and I think, you know, when Annette was here last week, so we had that I'm gonna say a community hall, you know, and people were discussing. So one of the representatives from Johnny O's office came, you know, and people were allaying their fears, you know, like now, especially people who are immigrants who are coming in, providing resources. For incoming people. Let's say they've just migrated, or machined a green card, you know, resources to help them adjust, you know, giving them information, you know, setting them up, opening, you know, like being available to assist, you know. But also on our part, we have to be willing to be telling people, like, listen, go to these services, ama unapeleka mtu kwa hiyo ofisi unamwambia this one has just come, this and this and this and this, follow up.
And those are the things I think within the community we should try to be creating structures to be able to, for example, support like new people who are coming, because I think with just a little support it can make a very big difference.
It goes a long way.
Yes,
it goes a long way.
That soft landing when you first come in, you know, even just being taught about the money.
Yes,
just knowing what a dime is or a nickel. You those things go such a long way. You're not using trousers anymore in your English, it's pants.
for some of us, there was no soft landing.
And
Okay,
then,
I'm
and then,
just-
yeah, the other
For
big
us, it
thing-
was just
Correct.
Besides finance, career, like
Yes.
the idea that some people still come here thinking that they have to start from the bottom, like Drake. But you can actually start your career from where you are if you just maybe apply to the right position. So these are things that people are not
But
told.
if you have people to direct you also and say, hey, your credentials, and sometimes it may even take you taking your certificates and or your school stuff and getting them not transcribed but
translated.
I don't know what that word
Converted.
is.
Notarized.
Yes.
Notarized.
No.
They,
Something close.
they're kind of like certified, so
Yeah,
to speak.
so-
It's
I think
conversion,
so.
and
Yeah.
actually, that was one of the things, because some people do come, they have wamesoma huko, wamesoma, they've got degrees and stuff. So even having a resource where people can actually go, like if you go to let's say the Baltimore County website, a place you can say, convert or submit your papers for to see if you can transfer your credits from if you summered at University of Nairobi, depending on whatever and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
information like that
so,
is
so
important.
it's small details like that. The interesting thing
Evaluated.
is
I
that,
don't know.
Yes,
there's
it's evaluated.
people-
Yes,
there's even people
evaluation
who've lived
services,
here. There's people who've lived here for so many years who still don't know, because I think sometimes we misprioritize our focus when we come here. Now, one thing we can learn, for example,
makuta.
oh my goodness, let's not even get there. We need to learn from, and of course there are other communities that have been in the United States way longer than we have, but I think it's important for people when they come here, even if you have plans of going back, anchor yourself like you're gonna be living here. You need to anchor yourself. Hii mambo ya kuwa na mguu moja nje na mguu moja ndani, I think that slows down our progress. Anchor yourself. I think if you properly anchor yourself, you're gonna put yourself in a good position. Like if in future you want to go back home, if you anchor yourself in those first 5 years, if you play your cards right, you'll be in a very good position to choose, like whether you want to stay here or whether you want to go back home. But then when you're 50-50, like you're constantly, like every 2 months you're back home, you're back here, then you'll find that it's gonna take you longer to get anchored here and to progress financially to where you comfortably want to be. I can see a lot of comments coming in here from
hot and fast
from
hour.
people who are tuned in.
Doreen Florence is over there saying that it's 8:14 p.m. Yani akona ma
Yes,
websites ya
exactly.
show
Yeah, exactly. We were wasting our time. Now Washeke says was telling when Mike Wacha Uchokozi, I think that was at the beginning, and then Udi here says I remember that episode. I think he's talking about Kina
The
Rehema's
Rehemas, yes,
episode.
yes.
And it's something some of us experience. We name our kids based on tradition, and my kids know that.
Yes.
And then I see a Kinyadoy is in the building. Karibu sana. Washeke says money, credit, and path towards home ownership. Very, very important. This is very critical, especially to your wealth building in the US.
And by the way, in the Queen's language, neido shafata muno.
Maguta. And then Udi says transcribed. I think he meant transcribed. Okay.
Transcribed, yes, he's right. Transcribe, yes.
And Faith
It's transcribed.
Chepkonyi.
It's
Because
not
if you remember
transcribed,
Udi,
Yeah.
when he moved from Korea, he was able to transfer his credits from either University or USIU to Towson.
Okay, to
If you
transfer credits
yes.
and transcribe. So transcribe is
Both.
when you have finished, right?
No, he hadn't finished.
Oh, yeah, but then you're right. They would need to be transcribed to see what's equivalent.
Yes.
Whatever courses you are taking is equivalent to X, and
Right.
then you
And
can
you know
then
the best person we need to get
move them
back here
over.
to talk to us about all that? Charles Were from Pittsburgh. Charles Were from Pittsburgh.
he wrote the book, right?
Yes, he wrote the book.
It's Walter.
Oh, I meant Walter.
Walter Were.
Yeah,
Yes,
I meant
he wrote the
Walter.
book.
Yeah.
Where Walter?
Yeah.
Where Walter Were?
I meant Walter Were.
Anyone knows Walter Were from Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's been put on notice.
yeah, and then I can see Faith Chemtai says evaluated. Faith Chemtai Chepkonyi karibu sana. Please talk to us about Chicago. I know Chicago Marathon is a bit way out, but there will also be there will be a dinner in Chicago, a dinner with champions kama ile ya Boston, which we plan to go.
But bro, mapema ndio best.
Mapema ndio best.
Faith.
Yes.
Mapema ndio best.
So talk to us about it so that we start preparing, we get to interview you, and we get people lined up, especially people in the Midwest area. There's so many people who can drive down there.
And also accommodation
too.
Yes.
Yeah,
my discount.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a big one. Ferdinand Omanyala is also in the US.
Yes.
You know, like ready for Oregon. I think he's currently in Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shirandula.
Okay, and then Udi says I transferred credits after 2 years. Washeke says sometimes it's not even the conversion of degrees, but how to navigate corporate America. Corporate America and corporate Kenya are two different animals.
Yes,
Very
totally.
true.
Totally, yes.
Night and day.
Yes.
Oil and water.
Kwa ile kitu ya ati supervisor yako unajua ni supervisor. Yani yeye ni kama they're like a demigod over there.
Yeah.
In Stato that doesn't exist. They're just a regular person who bleeds red like you.
Okay.
By the way.
And then we have here Naftali Kokiro. Naftali Kokiro is tuned in to the One Mic Show, and Faith says that she'll do. Now, we are going to be talking about President Ruto's upcoming trip to the U.S., so please start typing. Give us your comments. What do you know about this trip? What do you expect? What do you want? Are you going to be going to see him in Atlanta? He's then going to come to Washington, D.C.
For the
aliens. Washington, D.C. To see him. I don't know what the rest of the rest of his itinerary is looking like, but the DC part will be a very controlled environment because this is an official invitation from the White House. It's not just a random trip that the president is making here. So all the media will be focused on him. So I hope he's prepared because the media here, man, they do their research before they come and start asking questions. To like when they're interviewing presidents who are coming in here, you better come correct. You better be prepared. I'm sure they've been following what's been happening in Kenya with the El Nino rains, with the floods, and with the home demolitions. DJ Moshfire, let's talk about those demolitions because you brought that to our attention. Just maybe for those who've not been following Kenyan news, why are houses being demolished in the slum areas?
So typically, and a lot of people may not realize this, a lot of our slums, other than I was going to say Kibera, a lot of our slums are typically close to riparian land or close to a river.
Okay.
Nairobi River in this case.
So basically a place where you're not supposed to be building.
It's no man's land.
It's no man's land. Okay.
Yes, because in Kenya, it's 30 feet from water coming inland. Is supposed to be no man's land.
Okay.
Which is why basically you see you can jump from hotel to hotel on the beach in Mombasa. You can just walk the beach line and go from hotel to hotel. A lot of people don't know that because they normally put security guards who try to...
Which is illegal.
Correct. They try to push guys away and stuff.
If you black, though. If you black.
Correct. Remember the Maasais... Remember the Maasais who are beating up on those security guys?
That actually was a beach in Zanzibar.
That was
those Maasais.
Okay. That was in Zanzibar.
That was in Zanzibar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
if it's me and Omosh, tutachapwa Nyahunyo.
Yeah.
But if it's Ali atambiwa Buddha boss Peter too.
No.
Why?
Light skin. Twende.
You're very funny. But anyway, so a lot of our slums in Kenya, Mathare, Kinamukuru, a lot of those are built on riparian land. And what's happened now because of Nairobi River swelling, or what do we call
banks
it? Swelling,
busting,
swelling the banks, right? The banks are overflowing, and normally during rainy season, those particular houses are always flooded anyway, and it ficas maybe waste or something like that. So it's manageable. At this point now, the houses are actually underwater. People are getting swept, and so kama huku warada or whatever, you'll wake up when you are opening your mouth and you're in water, and let's say imagine it's a double-decker na mtoya malala chini, hypothetically.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what they decided to do was when they saw what was happening with the weather forecast, they said that they were going to move folks, or folks need to move, and it's a mandatory movement. So if you don't move yourself to higher ground, you will be moved.
Yeah.
So they actually went in to move people. But this movement meant they were coming in and moving you permanently. It wasn't like, okay, we are going to move you so that when, things go back or the water subsides, apana. they have come in, and even high rises or whatever it is, which a lot of folks have taken advantage of, they've put up high rises as well. So they've come in and they started destroying this high rise.
So I'm curious, like if this is no man's land, does it mean that if I show up as Ali, because it's no man's land, I can just go and build a shack or a structure? Or is there like an informal system of someone who's approving? Because I know for a fact that I can't just show up and build. So who's giving authorization for this? Because people are paying rent. Because on those
correct,
on those structures that have been built, people are actually paying. There's someone who's receiving rent.
And before you answer that, also, that directive came from the president.
Yes.
That people should move.
Yes.
Question now becomes, what resources or what was deployed to inform people or to let people know that a directive has been brought down?
Yes.
Right? And people need to move. That is one. Two. If you're going to move, this is the place you need to move to, right? If you're going to move, this is where you need. If you're going to move from Roro, you've been told you move to Bowie.
Correct.
And this is how you're going to go, and we have given you
10K.
3 days or 4 days.
No, but there was also 10K in there.
Right? There's 10K for that. But this was a directive that was brought down.
Yes.
Question now that was being asked was, what information was, or how was the information disseminated to the people so that, one, you can get yourself ready, pack up your things, and move.
Yes.
Because this is going to whatever. Because you had a report of the child who, a lady goes to work, amenda kutafuta unga.
Yes.
Yeah, ameacha mtoto.
What happened to them, Toi?
The house was destroyed and the kid was
Yeah,
yes.
and the child died.
Yes.
And this was, if the directive came today, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yes.
Just the same as, just as much as when there was a directive that, there was no information about schools opening while it was still flooding and raining. At 1 a.m. Monday, schools are closed. And by then, the official decree is that schools are closed. And already by then, parents and students had already started their travel.
Some had reported.
Yeah, some had already reported.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're a parent who could not make it on Monday, you'd have made sure your child was there.
Umemweka kwa basi,
na ameenda.
Kwa train, or matri, or whatever, na ameenda.
But I think what the government, at least what the government said, at least what I heard them say, is that this information had been announced in mainstream media na katika magazeti. So here's my that's what they say.
The official page of the Ministry of Education posted at 1 a.m.
No, that's for the school opening, but I'm talking about the demolitions, or rather the evacuations.
Oh, me, I was talking about me.
Yeah.
Okay,
he was basically
talking about schools opening.
It's two things, but he was alluding to communication. With these guys, it's not there.
But you see, according to what they said, or at least what they allege, and I think it's accurate. They said that this they had already told people to move to higher ground.
Yes.
Which people?
The people who are on that riparian land.
Which higher ground?
They are told that's what they said. They told people to move to higher ground.
Just move where there's no water.
Yeah, like they also claim that there were specific shelters that had been listed. This is what they were claiming. But here's my problem.
Was the 10K part of this sheltering?
So the 10K, I mean, not to confuse.
That is I think for the move.
That's something separate. But I think what the issue is, according to what I heard on by this community activist from Mathare who was talking on Spice FM, he said that when you advertise something on radio or on TV and you expect that you've communicated to people who are going through floods in informal settlements, that's the height of stupidity.
100%.
That's the height of stupidity,
assumption
because
is that these guys have radios, and B, these radios are working. C, they could afford batteries in these. I'm just saying, and I'm saying batteries,
and not
right?
only that, they are watching.
But Yes.
They're watching while trying to figure out how to rescue themselves from floods.
And remember, their electricity 99% of the time is these bootlegs that are being connected through sijui nini, which means
the transformer.
That chap of theirs has told them, boss, vile kuna mvua, hii kitu ni lazima tufanye nini to disconnect.
Here's the thing. And I mean, like that lady, how was it? I would like to know how it was communicated to her that the structure, the house that she was living in, was going to be demolished. Because had she probably known that it was going to be demolished, she would have made arrangements
and made,
if
or
anything,
been there and taken her stuff out.
And taken her key.
The announcement, I don't know that the announcement was for people to evacuate or there is a pending demolition.
So
I'm
pending demolition is one thing.
Yeah.
Pending demolition is one thing.
Yeah.
Notification for demolition is happening today. That's another thing. Because a pending demolition meaning, you know, okay, there's going to be demolition. Sawa. That is one thing. Demolition is going to happen Friday at 8 p.m. That's another thing.
So I don't think there was an announcement of the demolition, but there was that announcement that people need to go vacate to higher ground.
Correct.
Because I think, you know, like if the government had announced a demolition, then I think people would have taken, you know, there would have been protests, there would have been so many. So I think the government tried to take advantage. It's something that I think they've always wanted to do, and they saw this as an opportunity.
This is an opportunity.
Yeah, to do that.
I think, if you guys remember Chief Karaoke.
That was a long time ago. I don't think a lot of people remember.
So Chief Karaoke was a chief somewhere, I think in Rift, not Rift.
Was it Nakuru?
Nakuru somewhere, yeah. Rift. People in his community, he had a communication system that he would post on Twitter, but they would receive on their phones.
They would receive by text.
By text.
Yeah.
On their Simus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And actually, he even gave a TED talk on that. He actually talked about how they came up with a system to notify. So if somebody was to report that a cow has been stolen and they call him, chief, ng'ombe imeibiwa, anatuma message.
It's the Amber Alert.
It's like an Amber Alert.
It's like an Amber Alert, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, a question would have been, it would have been nice to send an Amber Alert to let people know
but the Amber Alert, but the Amber Alert we normally use.
No, I'm giving.
I get what you're saying.
It's
but
not an Amber Alert.
No,
but for
yes, but what I'm saying, the Amber Alert we normally use in communities like that is you have people on the ground, these chaps who walk door to door, whether it's the chief, whether it's the I don't know,
yes,
MCA,
there you go.
whether it's I don't know whoever, they go door to door and they knock. And in a situation like this where you are evacuating people, what you do, just the same way as we do with a fire drill in a building or whatever, you have those stewards or whatever they're called, right?
Marshals, whatever.
Yes, the fire marshal, or yes,
the guys who have been designated as employees,
and they sweep. Everybody has an area. They start from this place and they check as they're going and making sure, checking offices, closing offices, and keep going and continue going. In a situation like this, where you're even checking and where you're saying, guys, you need to get out, and you get out now, you would walk and go down. I would even literally go with a marker or even paint. You mark that door as you keep going. Say, this one has been checked. Tuendele, checked. That way, these jokers who are coming with bulldozers, at least munajua, even if it's property that is property you can always get. Life, you can't.
No.
The deputy government spokesperson could not communicate thoroughly that information had been disseminated, people had been warned, they had done everything, they had checked all their T's and they had checked all their T's, crossed their I's, or is it cross their I's and the T's? That one.
Yeah.
He could not ascertain that.
He
could not articulate himself and articulate that.
Yeah. Washeke says the government is not serious. They don't consider logistics involved. They just issued declarations overnight. The deputy government spokesman couldn't provide a credible answer as to whether residents had been given prior notice. So I think this is one of those things that are problematic, and I know disasters happen in different parts of the world.
Correct.
They happen even here in the US and many other parts of the world. Brazil also had a similar issue. But for us, it seems like we never learn from previous.
Every year.
No.
Every year.
But if you recall, during COVID,
yes,
UK's government let's look at how the protocols were, how things were going. Interior CS, remind me his name. Matiangi.
Yeah.
They would have briefings every day. He would have a briefing every day.
It was probably twice a day, but yeah.
Mutahi Kagwe, CS of Health.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. What was going on? What whatever articulated.
What's that position? CAS.
The
lady who was
yes.
The lady, yeah.
In this part, because this one, I think this was just as bad. But where was
they should have set up a system like that? Actually,
no system was set up.
Yeah.
To help people, because you're telling people to move to higher ground.
And tell guys, but come to KICC or something.
So you're telling,
this is ground zero. You come and you report and whatever, and we look and we sort you out.
Because you're telling guys to move to higher ground. Where exactly is higher ground?
Now, with my background in disaster management, this thing is done at different levels. From the very lowest level, the very lowest level is the residential level. You know, like there should be a blueprint of what to do in case something happens at the very residential level, and then like at the community level, at the neighborhood level, at the community level, and then now these other ones that come on top, they become effective if there's already an effective plan at the very bottom level. Like people know where to go. They know
evacuation routes, blah blah blah, all those things.
Yes.
And in case there's an emergency, go look for your chief or your whatever, and this is where they're things like that, right?
And even sometimes I'm gonna try to look for those documents. We used to have documents of have an emergency bag.
Yes.
Like
yes.
In case
even now
happens.
Here in the States, they tell you to do a go bag.
Yes, have a go bag.
Have a bag that has, like it may have your important documents or whatever.
A survival kit.
A survival kit.
And then also have a ladder, like in case of a fire where you have to work it on the side, one of those collapsible ones, and you can climb down from it because you may not be able to get to an exit. Depends upon where you live, but have a way of, it'd be nice if you have a fireproof safe, in your crib or something like that, and at least can, keep your documents in case of a fire. But they always tell you this all the time. Try and do certain things and make sure, have a fire extinguisher in your house, have flashlights, those things of a blanket in the car,
Yes.
It's
very simple things but could make the difference between life and death.
Yes, for sure.
And even doing things like CPR, like in case you are in a car that's drowning, like that's sinking in water. What exactly do you do? Do you close the windows or do you open the windows and get out? Like that. These are some of the small things that I think people are not very familiar with. And then, of course, later on in the show, we're going to be talking about President RUTO's trip coming to the U.S. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Later on in the show, we're going to be talking about music. Our artists. Should artists be paid for interviews? This has been a trending topic in Kenya for this week. For a number of reasons, we're going to be talking about that later on in the show. You can start dropping your comments and letting us know. Now, real quick, when it comes to diaspora, where do we come in, like when it comes to disasters back home? Because we've previously been accused of sensationalizing from a distance. We've been accused of spreading negative information. Now, not us, but just diaspora. In general, so where does diaspora role come in? And then there's the issue also of assistance. So maybe Omosh, let me start with you. Where do you think we need to come in? Where do we need maybe to dial back a little bit? What exactly should we be doing once we start getting this information, live information from family, friends, where we are seeing that things are not going well?
For me, I always look at it this way. Whenever there's something that happens, and I'll use COVID as an example, and I'm not going to use the floods now as an example, even though I guess I should, right? But
yes, you should, because it's present day.
I'll use COVID as an example. So during COVID, it got to a point because you realize this thing is not going away. what you know what it was advertised as initially when it came in and what it became were two different things. It just morphed, and it's almost like the floods. That's what's happening with these floods now, because it's just a never-ending, long, wet, sad, drowny story. So for me, as a diaspora, we're not physically on the ground. So there's certain things that you can do. You can seek out attention, whether it's getting in touch with either whatever it is, your networks back home for local authorities there, folks out here, organizations that can help, NGOs, whether it's here or through here, you get in touch with them, and then they get in touch with their, like their arm, like say hypothetically Red Cross, because like always when something happens, people changa, then maybe you go to your Red Cross here, you give it here, and then they disseminate those funds to the local chapter, uko nyumbani. Then of course, direct interaction with your people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be, when I say your people, it doesn't have to be your blood, but it's those who you're actually in touch with.
Yeah.
Something that I realized during COVID that was very interesting that happened during COVID was, for instance, folks who are living, live in, there's always next to, basically there's always a good neighborhood and a slum next to it. Now, if the folks in the good neighborhood are okay, they're eating, they have a lake, they have all these other things, but these chaps who are in the slums don't. What do you think is going to happen? These chaps in the good neighborhoods are going to get attacked.
Yeah,
because
they will be eaten.
Yes, it's going to get to a point where you're saying, I have to eat. Well, some folks who are forward thinking, who live in these areas, decided, well, what we'll do is we'll use our local church and our connections on the ground. Because the people who work for them, who help them in their homes, actually live in these slums.
Yes.
You reach out to that person then goes to reach out to the community person and says, by the way, you tell them, give us a head count of how many people you guys are over there. They tell you we are 800 families, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sawa. Then guess what? Our watu in this community, vile munatoaga that monthly thing, what is it called? Service charge or whatever. Now they are
you go take care of them.
Yes, because if you don't take care of them, it's just a matter of time they're going to come and take care of you. And then you distribute this food. And I know a lot of people who are actually doing that during COVID, where they were setting up at their local church. They have these guys come to the church. They have a list because they've used their local connections on the ground.
Yes.
Back to that community thing of the guys walking door to door, because they're the ones who know who live in these neighborhoods.
And the way Nairobi is structured, all these rich neighborhoods are serviced by those informal settlements.
Correct.
So all rich neighborhoods have an informal settlement somewhere close by.
Back door, behind their gate, something. These chaps are right next door. They're not going anywhere because it gets to a point, even them, they're like, I'm not going to commute kutoka Kibera to go to South Sea to work.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So I'm going to live somewhere close to there and I can't afford rent. So guess what? Kuna kamali kakijiji tunaweza jisunda and they'll go.
So I think, I've always wanted to understand these informal settlements because when we talk about Nairobi, that's Nairobi. That's where majority of Nairobi's population lives.
100%.
Like whether people like it or not, whether people know it or not, I think about 65% of Nairobi's population live in informal settlements. By informal settlements, we mean it's not like ghetto. When you think of a ghetto here in the US, it's not that at all. It's a structure. It could either be a tin structure, it could either be a structure built out of matope or whatever it is. That's where majority of Nairobi lives, and there's a whole ecosystem, like it's like a mini city.
Yes.
That's running there, a whole economy.
Yes.
Where things are happening in there. Now, what I don't know, like even and now that's us looking out here from the diaspora, is how sustainable this is. Because there's families that have lived like that for generations.
Yes.
And now that population is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And when plans are being made, like in terms of roads, they're never factored in.
No,
water?
they never are.
They're never factored
Because
in.
they're
The roads
guess
and
they're not-
sewerage
yes,
and whatever are never
yes.
factored.
Yeah, because they are. I guess I'll say it this way, and hopefully folks don't take it the wrong way. They're not the ones who are paying taxes who are in those areas, for lack of a better word. You get what I'm saying? Meaning they're spending their money in there.
They're day laborers. They're not.
They're not the guys.
Most of them.
They're not the ones who you're counting with pin numbers who are telling you that as guys with me niko Langata niko wapi. You get what I'm saying?
Hakuna pay as you want.
I guess if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah,
Because
it's
pay as
it's a
you
cash
want.
economy.
It's a cash
you know,
economy.
yes,
I
you're
work
right.
for you today, you pay me.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
true.
That
That
is
is
it.
true. Yes,
It's not a pay.
Yes, it's a
not-
cash
it's-
economy.
Yeah.
And those guys. Do you know the Kijiji in Langata?
The Kijiji in Langata, I'm not gonna say
No,
it's
no,
recent.
Southlands.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's semi-recent
it's
because
semi-recent.
it's 80. I think I'd say 85.
yeah, because that area never
Probably, I
used to
think.
have, because the
No.
Kijiji used to be in Kibra.
It was in
But
Kibra,
now,
yes.
in Langata, there's a Kijiji that developed
Correct.
there. Ilianza kimchezo, and now there's a whole Kijiji
Yes,
there.
and those guys are right now. You ask them how ni wasewa Langata.
Yeah, the
But-
Langata constituency.
Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, correct. But then the way it started was it was a field. Kulikuwa na ka kiosks. These jamas used to go back and forth between there and Kibera, and they'd have to cross over, and that's before waliweka bypass and all of that stuff, you know. And after a while, someone's like, "Hey, why am I killing myself to go to Kibich? Si naeza lala tu
I
hapa."
can just stay here. Yeah.
So it's either they lala in the kiosk or they build like a small structure behind the kiosk.
Behind the kiosk.
And
yeah.
that's how it started.
That's how it started.
You end up having families there. The kids are born there. There's a school right there. They go to school right there, and so on and so forth. And that's how that Kijiji started. Now you can't move those guys. Where are you going to move them to?
No, you can't. I
And
mean,
where are they going to be absorbed?
This is a very complicated problem. But then again, I think the problem is that there's parts of the world that have solved these kinds of problems.
Correct.
But the problem we have is that we have a broken political system, which loves when there's poverty, because that's a variable that politicians like, that they will use.
It is their best variable.
Yes, and then we have a political system which rewards things that can be seen on the surface. If you show up with a truck and start distributing unga, that's a political event that will gain you votes. But when you go and do stuff that will actually help in the long run, like design a sewer system, try to figure out
or
how
a borehole or
yes,
something.
those are things that are not visible. You know, like in a sewer system, you cannot put Jalango built this, and people are not seeing it. So now the problem is that politicians are in a position where they can't prioritize those things that are meant to be priorities. And that's a reason why we have this problem that used to be small, but now it has grown and it has become unmanageable. You have
Yes.
generations.
And it's all over.
That have lived there.
It's not only Langata is just an example.
Yeah.
I saw it happening like this, like a joke, and you saw it happen as well.
Yeah.
The
I know.
place that I'm surprised I haven't seen one, and I guess I don't spend enough time around there. Sijaona moja Nairobi West. And
So
maybe-
Nairobi West is being serviced. You know, Nairobi West is surrounded all over, everywhere.
Yeah, I was
But
saying
Nairobi
maybe
West,
there's no.
There's no space. There's no because Nairobi West now, that Langata Kijiji services Langata. It services South Sea, Nairobi West,
Correct.
Madaraka. That's where, you know, like a lot of these
Yeah.
house helps work there. You know, like security guards.
Nairobi Dam,
Yes,
all of those.
It services all those
Yep,
areas, and of
yep.
course all the way up to Karen. I mean, Karen has also been serviced by Kibra,
Yes.
partially. And then when you go to parts like Ngong Road, those slums now service now all
Yes.
those particular areas. So this is a problem that if not handled, it's already problematic as it is. And then the other problem that was mentioned by that community activist from Mathare is that the way the constituencies have been drawn, they've deliberately, you know, like separated people, especially in Mukuru. So it's one big slum, but I think they're split, I believe, into like maybe 3 constituencies. I believe Makadara is one of them. I believe there might be one of the Embakassis. So they can't organize together. So even if they want to organize together, huyu anakuambia MP wangu ni huyu mwingine anakuambia MP wangu ni yule. So it's very problematic, you know, and this needs a long-term solution.
What are the MCAs doing?
The activist is called Anami Daudi Ture.
Yeah, very amazing guy.
Very.
You know, like
Go to Spice FM,
Yeah.
look for under videos, look for the impact of riparian demolitions in Mukuru, Nairobi. Anami Daudi Ture.
If we could get Anami Daudi Ture on the One Mic show, it would be very amazing. Anybody who knows him, please give us his contact.
Because this guy is
He lives
ground.
there. He lives there. Yeah, and I think it's important because there's Nairobi, you know, like sometimes I wonder that how I grew up in Nairobi, I always knew that these slums were there, but it was kind of like we were so separated. So the realities of people living in those spaces was totally alien to us. You know, like we would see people come, work in our houses as house helps, work as security guards, you know, like go home. And there are some who are day scholars, go home. But, you know, like you never stop to ask yourself,
Mtu anakaa wapi
they earn a very small amount of
ama
money.
wacha niende kwao nione.
Yeah, I know. Even as an employer.
Yeah, it's man, when you go over there and you see that there is no sewer line. The sewer line is there.
Yeah. you know,
It's there. They step in the sewer line is there as they come in and out of your house.
You know, this is very sad.
Yeah.
Back in the day, my mom used to have a business a side business ya kushona nguo. So you would get, you know, like a fundi. You know, Luos used to be the best fundis. So we had this fundi who would come, you know, like madheta patama orders nini. Now, very interesting, this guy lives in Kibra.
Yes.
They actually got to apply for a green card, and I can't remember who told them to apply for a green card. They won the green card.
Wow.
They won the green card, but here's the problem.
Is it a sponsor?
They could not afford. They could not afford to come because they did a harambe. Because I remember I actually went with my mom to that harambe, and they'd gotten, you know, like soda, nini, chakula, and we turned out to be the only ones who were in that harambe, and it was so painful. We were the only ones. Yeah, we were the only ones. It was so painful. I vividly remember that.
Ali ungeuza ile gari yako.
Man, you know.
Ungeuza ile gari yako pego jamaa tikiti.
I know at that time nilikuwa sina authorization ya kuuza gari. Nilikuwa hata bado sija gain ownership ya hiyo gari.
Bro, just mlikuwa naogopa nyahunyo.
You know,
but those are the realities,
you know,
of
I'm
what
like,
we dealt with.
This was a very great opportunity. This
Yes.
guy, I'm telling you, this guy kwa kushona nguo, his name was Andrew. Like he was so good. You know, like
where is he now? Do you know?
You know, like I'm gonna ask my mom, because my mom tended to keep contact with people that she employed. My mom would come, you know, like with catalogs, like akitravel US.
Correct.
Atakuja na catalogs kama za JCPenney.
Yes.
Because remember those catalogs used to be very big back in the day. Sears, utamwonyesha nguo,
anafanya carbon copy.
Man, the guy will reproduce it from a picture. That's how good the guy was. Na kisha kupima size perfect, 100%. You know, like if I could meet this guy again, I don't know what he's doing, but he was so skilled. Na ilikuwa nile ile kukata nguo unachora na chalk nini na unashona na ile that black charahani. Singer. Yes. He was very, very good at doing that. But I mean, those are the realities. And that's why I think, you know, like people, especially if you have a house help, if you have a security guard, I think it's important to just want to know a little bit more about them.
Invest in them. They will surprise you. Because, you know, when things get thick, especially William Sewa security.
Yes.
That's the guy who either he looks out for you or he exits.
Yeah. I know.
And either looks out for you or looks out for you.
Yes.
Or looks out for what you have.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That one. And it's very amazing when I go home and I see, and you know, we are always told that because we are sisi ni watu wa diaspora, we spoil chaps, like say the way you tip. you know, the way you even relate, at least for me, the way I relate with the house help, right? Or even the folks who work in the
like
building,
a human being,
right?
yeah.
Correct. The first person whose hand I always grease is security. Before anybody, it's always security. So whenever I come, it doesn't matter. I know the night shift, I know the day shift. Now wananijua.
Yeah.
In fact, it gets to the point, because I always stay with my sis, it gets to a point where those chaps are always, they ask her, ikifika kituka Oktoba hivi, wanamuliza, sasa ule ndugu yako anarudi lini? Yuko wapi?
Yeah.
Because I make sure I sort them out. But not only them, even her house help. I will make sure I look after her house help. For the duration when I'm there, that house help is the happiest person. If I go out somewhere, I get cake. Yendi anachukua keki. Si hawa watu wa nyumba. Chukua keki uende nayo kwa watoto wako.
And you know the other thing that I learned is that, because you've always wondered, these house helps and security guards, they also have kids. They have families.
They do. Yeah, we almost have day scholar.
They have families.
Day scholar na kona watoto kaa ile.
So interesting, unakuta house help anakufanyia kazi, but ye pia kona house help huko kwake, who's taking care of the kids, while mzee ameenda kutafuta kazi ya mjengo, na yeye ameenda kufanya kazi ya, I mean, like
kuwa dobi ama kuwa whatever, you know, and it's not like they're paid a lot, because
they're not paid a lot of money.
Your pesa ya dobi in a day waka kitu ka so saba siji elfu moja in fact you're being nice. No, I'm just saying elfu moja. No, I said elfu, it depends again on the neighborhood.
Yes,
right?
neighborhood.
It depends on which neighborhood where.
Yeah, Afro-Jamaican, I hope you're listening to this.
No, Afro-Jamaican, actually here he had made a comment. Here in I think he was talking about survival. Here in Canada, we are told to be prepared to survive 72 hours before help can arrive, and that is in preparation, disaster management. When you're talking about disaster management, Udi says, pertaining to your comment about diaspora and helping, Udi says, Ali Badawi, that criticism was raised against Larry Madao
on highlighting the floods.
But they still pay VAT.
I think Washek is referring to the fact that, you know, we like saying that these poor people don't pay taxes.
They pay taxes.
But yes, but VAT.
Yes, that one is standard.
Yes, that's a standard tax.
That is standard. Udi says Kijiji was there from the 80s. I grew up in Southlands.
But Udi knows what that Southlands.
Udi knows,
that Southlands. It was. I remember when that thing was a field.
It was open.
Number 14, number 15, you come, that whole field.
Even before Chumi was built.
You know, funny, Kina Chris Rain, literally, their back wall almost goes into that Kijiji. What separates them is they have a smoker play area. But Hapo, because wako Onyonka. So Onyonka, Southlands, and I think it's called, is it Civil Servants? I think
Civil Servants, karibu na Otiende. Now when you're going towards Otiende.
So, okay, there's Otiende, there's Civil Servants, then there was Rubia as well. And it was Rubia then that they changed the name to Civil Servants. But Ziko Hapo too, in fact, that field is literally between Southlands and Onyonka. You literally look at that field. Then ukishuka kidogo, even from Ngei, you could, at one point, you could kata from there and walk all the way to Ngei. And that guy who's from that area is top down. But your area at a top down, if he calls in and you ask him about how that Kijiji came about, he can't even tell you how it came about. But all of a sudden, it was
came.
there,
it mushroomed
and
very
it's
fast.
Permanent.
Onyango Ohingo says Kisumu is no different from Nairobi. Milimani has Nyalenda next door. Tomboya has Obunga next door. Marina has Manyata next door. Informal settlements will always spring up close to where cheap labor is needed. Washeke says,
wow, okay.
Cecile, here excuse ya to neglect slums because they do not pay taxes is the same used with illegal immigrants. They need...
Why can't she see me on the side before she says those things?
They may not pay, but they do pay VAT, fuel levy, and other taxes in the revenue. 100% agree with that.
Correct.
Doreen Florence says, everyone for himself, God for us all. Washeke says, those tailors are on better than couture seamstresses.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
That work for French, Italian, etc. fashion houses. We treat our domestic staff the way colonialists treated us. Yep, that master-servant mentality. And
I don't know where we got that stuff.
Udi says that I think he talked about it was about to be burned down. It was untouchable.
No, that thing burns all the time.
Kijiji they tried to burn it down, but it was untouchable.
But they still do. It burns every so often.
And then
they rebuild and they continue.
I used to date chicks in Onyonka. It used to be an empty field. Okay?
Now let me tell you, in Umo, Eastlands, between Donholm and Umo, right? On Outer Ring Road, if you come down Kerea, you chop a left, you get onto Outer Ring Road, you're heading on the left. Doni used to be on the right, and then the next structure that you would see was P. Katikati kulikuwa na kitawa. I think it was a water tower.
Yeah.
That was
open.
It was open.
Yeah.
And then on the right, from Doni all the way to Outa.
Yeah.
It was open. There was nothing. Nada. 10 years later, my friend.
Remember,
it was Madhogodhanio. Even from Umo, where we used to live, Hapo KCC, Hapo A.
Yeah.
I could walk to Outer Ring to catch a 23 to go to West T.
Do you know, if I go to Umoja, like we have a home in Umoja.
Utapotea, boss.
I can't even find Iko J.
Bro, J.
I can't find it.
Utapotea.
Now,
mimi nilipotea A na tulikuwa A.
We used to walk pale karibu na railway line. When you're in Umoja, you could see
railway line side ya Outer Ring Road ama side ingine ya Kangundo Road.
No, side ya I think that's Outer Ring Road.
Yo J mkiwa J was opposite.
So because you could
see Buru on the other side.
Buru.
Yes.
Yeah. You could see the WAB we used to be called the WAB Hotel on the other side opposite BD Primary School.
Oh, hapo uko ni phase 5.
No, hapana hapo ni phase 2. WAB Hotel BD Primary is phase 2. BD is Buru phase 2. So you could actually stand there and you could see, but then now that whole space mpaka karibu na railway line, it was taken over. It had structures and now like it's all blocked. I don't know whether those guys were ever removed, but there was a time when everything was taken there. Now the problem is that there's a school right there. Now these structures that have been built here, there are businesses going on in there. There's a school next door. There are no bathroom facilities. So guess what? Watu walikuwa naenda kwa fence ya skuli to do whatever they needed to do. So now
numero 2.
Numero 2. Diseases were spreading in the school. And then remember, this is a school, you have girls there vulnerable. So it just created a lot of problematic social issues.
Nakumbuka kuna uwanjo ilikuwa Umo. Pale karibu, it's not far from J.
Yeah.
But it was karibu na Caltex. The only high rise that was in Umo at that point in time was A125. Peke yake.
Caltex unaongejwa phase 5.
No. Pale Outa na Kangundo Road. Pale.
Yeah.
Caltex. That was only the gas station ilikuwa tu. And we could actually walk up from where we were. We could walk, get gas, mafuta, kerosene, whatever, narudi. Ama... and that was it. Kulikuwa na uwanjo tulikuwa tunacheza ball. Apo A karibu na F. For those people who live in East Umo, watajua, if they're familiar, not J, because I had a very good friend of mine. They used to live in J, and it was Eric Ridho. J183. The house used to face the Baro.
Yeah.
Barabara, like your Outer Ring Road. But anyway, we would go there, uwanjo tunacheza ball nini. Then one time I think tumetoka shule, tunaanza kuwa na structures hapo zimejengwa, tuvibanda zinauza nini, uwanjo imeenda.
Yeah.
It was a gone career. So now from Umo there used to be a place called Tena, like it was a uwanjo.
Yeah.
Ya kwenda tulichochoro tulikuwa tunapitia tukienda Katho, tukienda Make ama tukienda Catholic Church ama unaenda Umoja tu. It was just uwanjo.
Yeah, it was an open field.
Grabbed.
Yeah. So these are social issues. If not handled, these ghettos are gonna get to your doorstep. These slums, they're gonna get to your doorstep.
Correct.
Because these are people who are trying to survive. And the people who service the city. Yeah. Mutindwa. Yeah, that's called Mutindwa.
Mutindwa bado wako. Their structures are usually demolished.
And then they come back. They usually move with election cycles.
And then this is the interesting part.
Karibu na elections wanarudishwa.
Hapo if you're going up, at one point Mtindwa going, if you're on Outer Ring Road, if you're going to Buru,
yeah,
it was it was just a path, like yani
Yeah, it
chochoro
was a
tu.
path. It was a path. to
Chochoro
go-
tu.
Yeah, it was
Na-
a footpath.
Na
yeah.
hii side ya kwenda Umo, it was nothing. Kadha when I went there 10 years later, 8 years later,
Yeah.
it was a road.
So
Inakukata unaingia ndio
so you
unaingia
know, so
Make.
the city was properly planned, even when estates like Buruburu were built.
Correct.
And then Umboja, and then these other estates were built. There was proper planning, but something fell apart at some point. And this falling apart, I think it started during time ya Moi. That's when things slowly started falling
Yes,
apart.
it was around that time.
And then things just got totally out of control when the politicians took over from the experts. Because even up to today, you have so many experts. There was that building that was going around this week in Udhiru, a building that
The one that
I
had been you are telling us.
Yes.
That was, it started collapsing and
yeah, it
people had
started
to
collapsing.
Yes.
Now there was a picture that was revealed over a year ago. It already had, when it was being built, it already had those marks for demolition, that this is not safe for human humans to
Occupancy.
live in,
Yeah.
for human occupancy. But it seems they were allowed to continue building
and
it.
they were given
and people moved
what is
in.
it called? Certificate of
Yeah.
occupancy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
people moved
everything.
in.
Yeah.
So you know, like, this is just one of those things where I think we need to decide as a country, what direction do we want to go? Because someone pointed out here that slums will always pop up next to areas that need cheap labor. So I think we need to figure out.
That was Onyango Ohingo.
Yeah, I think the problem, sometimes people talk about what you call like cheaper housing, but the problem that we have is that we have an income problem. Because if you give these people who are paying maybe 2,000 shillings a month, you give them a house which may have an electric bill that will exceed that 2,000 shillings a month.
Yeah,
Or a
their
bill.
budget is 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you give them a house that will exceed that maybe it will cost them about 10K
Yeah.
to live in that house.
Let's say
They're
5.
They're not
Even
gonna,
let's say 5.
yeah, they're not going to live in that house. What they're
No,
going to do is they're
they'll
going to
rent it.
sublet someone,
And
they
they
will go back
They
to where
go
they
back
used
to their
to live.
nini, yeah.
But if then that would mean for cheap labor. What about when I say employment pay? Like, we've always been told, so many vijana muongeze pia bidii,
Mwisho wa kusoma utapata kazi nzuri sana.
That has been fiction even for us.
Tulikuwa vijana,
Uh-huh.
tulicheza na masomo.
Uh-huh.
Kazi ya watoto
Uh-huh.
kweli kila siku ni kucheza.
There you go. So at what point then is because part of the reason I think there is the cash economy is because employment availability and possibilities and options are not there. When I say employment, ni ile unaenda kuajiriwa, unapata check,
Okay.
stuff like that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But hii kazi ya because even like here, whether you're a day laborer, sana even if you're doing blue collar whatever,
Yeah.
there's a system that is going to, there's a system that has been set up to, for lack of a better word, to monitor, to see. Because if you're a construction guy,
Yeah.
right? Or if let's say you kazi yako tu ni if you're a KYM, it's putting up drywall or whatever, you open a bank account and you're just depositing check after check, 1,000, whatever. At some point, people be like, how much? What do you do in order for you to have 20,000 in your account? You're inviting an audit,
Yeah.
right? So, and correct me, because I'm not sure, I'm not an accountant, but I'm thinking it's going to raise us a speed. You've got 20,000, but how do you get 20,000? Omosh is the one who's paying you, giving you cash. Or then somebody else and somebody else.
But I think, first
And
of
I'm
all,
saying here, but I think in Kenya, like
the problem that we have in Kenya is that unemployment is very high.
very high.
So when unemployment is very high,
but when we say
and-
unemployment is very high,
yeah,
the tax base is what, 3 million. But I don't think there's a shortage of money because the cash economy is thriving.
it's thriving, but okay, here's the thing: the unemployment rate is very high, and then there's a new metric that politicians don't like using this metric, but it's very important. You know, unemployment rate, it's an easy number to quote. You can say we reduced the unemployment rate. There's something called underemployment. Underemployment is a type of employment that cannot afford you a decent standard of living wherever city you live. So for example, like in Nairobi, let's say a decent standard of living, and decent standard is nothing major, just being able to afford a basic house that has electricity, that has access to piped water, just very basic stuff. So when you count underemployment, there are so many people who are underemployed. Now, if there's no focus on creating jobs, remember all these industries that were in industrial area, they were all run out of the country. You know, like with the 90s structural adjustment programs where IMF told, you know, like Moi's government privatize everything. So a lot of industries that we used to have that would employ so many people, not only in Nairobi, but in so many other parts of Kenya. You know, like it was textile industry. We're talking about the sugar industry. Pyrethrum, you know, like there were so many industries that were employing so many people such that you could find a job, earn a decent wage that could afford you, you know, like a fairly decent lifestyle. Now, all those jobs, zilienda, you know, so Kenya is no longer, and you know, with industries, there's a lot of other sub jobs that are created, this that support those industries, you know, like Kamani industry. Remember Cadbury's Kenya.
Yes,
this chocolate used to be manufactured in Kenya.
Yeah.
Guess what? They went to Egypt.
Yeah.
They went to Egypt.
Was it Egypt or Saudi?
No, it was Egypt.
Okay,
yeah, they went to Egypt. So they used to employ so many people. So think about not only the people who are employed by the company. So a company maybe that's employing 500 people has like maybe another 500 that are servicing.
Yes, servicing. Yes,
way, shape, or form.
doing things. Yes.
Yeah. So these are things if we don't deeply think about. I know we are here in diaspora, and we feel like things are okay as long as we could send a black tax. That black tax will keep increasing.
But also, there's also that notion that atuko kwa ground. There's also the notion that with us not being on the ground, we don't understand what's going on, or we don't feel, we don't get it. But we also have family members, you know, and you know, like now for me, I was constantly and always checking in on my mom, because I'm like, hey mom, uko sawa? Where you're staying, flooded? She's sawa, I'm okay. I'm glad you checked to see. And then she, you know, she's cracking a joke, but I'm like, it's serious. Like, oh, you're checking to see if I've been swept away. And I'm like, mom, tafadhali. But still, whether we like it or not, us here, we are affected directly.
It's not indirect.
It's not indirect.
Yeah.
We have families, your nieces, your nephews, grandparents, your uncles, your aunties, whatever, your parents, wako huko. So whether we like it or not, we have a say-so. And it is important, because come 2027, gets your asses registered to vote, goddammit.
Yeah, and you know, there was an argument that you know, there was an argument in some WhatsApp group, where, you know, like some people were asking, how can we help? And then there was another group of people that was saying the government already has a budget. Why would you want to be sending money to something that the government already has a budget on? Yet, you know, we are here seeing, you know, like things happening live. You know, people sleeping on top of Mabati structures.
That is a disconnect.
Oh, yes, that's our disconnect.
That is somebody who has a disconnect with how
big
things
time.
are.
That's that ostrich in the sand,
that
with
one.
their head in the sand, and there's a fire around them, and you know that there's a fire brigade who are trying to put it out. Lakini, they are not getting to you in time, so you need to do something.
It is true. Every government, every year, county governments are allocated chums.
There's a percentage of it.
Per the constitution,
yes,
right? Whatever has been laid out, the government receives, the county governments receive
Let's say they receive their 100%.
They receive their monies. The 15% or whatever.
2 to 6% of it.
2% of that.
It's set aside actually.
2% of that for disaster management. 2% every year.
Yes.
Let us start there. On paper.
On the county budget or
county
the
budget. No, county.
Not government, county.
Yeah. So if I give, if I'm the national government,
yeah,
and I give Ali from Mombasa County 100 million,
yeah,
2% of that,
2 million is set aside for
that one is supposed to be 2 million is supposed to be set aside for disaster management.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every year.
And they've not collected on it, by the way. And this is
on paper,
per the auditor.
Yeah. But on paper.
So what do you mean they've not collected?
Meaning they have not. Okay, so collected means you have gone and you withdrawn it. See, because IFMS would show it that you've actually gone in and you've pulled it. Because again, a disaster is that it has to be a disaster. It's not that you'd say it's a disaster. You count
it has to legally be defined as a disaster.
Correct. Yeah. This is one of those that falls hapo. So the counties actually do have money.
Now,
in defense of county governments, because there's so
I know. But this is on paper. We're just talking on paper.
Again, we're saying on paper based upon whatever has come in. There was to
that is what by law is required.
Yeah,
that is one thing. And I know where you're going, because it's another thing, because the county government, it's like the national government has been trying to put a chokehold to make sure that they're the ones who are.
It's not putting a chokehold. Its money has not followed functions.
It hasn't.
So you used to have 700 doctors. Now you have 4,000 doctors, but the money that's being issued is still the same amount of
for 700
doctors.
Yes.
So now that's why the doctors.
The money is not following function.
Money is not following function. So the government has devolved those functions, but they still want to keep the money. So I think that's part of the problem that some county governments are experiencing. And I think one of the reasons why county issues are being amplified is because they are right there. They are right next door. National government is an amorphous thing that's way out there in Nairobi. So people, let's say like in Kisumu or in Wajir, they don't know, they don't see those they can't see what's happening.
No, they can't.
There, but they can see what's happening within their county. So that's why I think the national government has kind of, I think, the county governments are bearing a lot of burden that should be borne by the national government.
100%.
But because, people are next, people will talk about that.
And also, just to provide context,
yeah,
the budgets that county get are based on the last audited accounts.
Yeah.
When was the last audited account?
Now, typically it delays. It could be like even 3 years ago. I'm not sure.
2019 or 2020.
Yeah.
So that is what.
That's a huge gap.
Exactly.
That's a huge gap.
Yes.
It's a huge gap.
Yes.
So there's a problem which I think needs to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
Now out here, I can see a lot of comments were coming in as we were talking. Let me see what Sheke says. No, this is Udimadenge. That's a playground next to the payroll station. And then Doreen Florence says cartels took over and now Nairobi is ungovernable. That's totally true. I don't envy the position of Nairobi governor.
Did you see Sonko's expose?
Boss.
Yeah, I mean that guy is always doing exposes.
But there's some truth to, but there's got to be a lot of lies.
There's
got to be a lot of lies in there. However,
but there's always some truth in those
even
lies.
If a tenth of it is true.
If you guys watched Kaikai's Kicker, go to Kaikai's Kicker. He played a majority clip on his take, the kicker of Sonko, and all he said was, if you have the tapes and the audio, please release. Carry on.
Now Washeke says in Buru and Harambe watu walianza kujenga extensions kiosk at every front of the house.
Yes.
And it was all downhill. When these extensions and kiosks started, remember when a lot of people were given golden handshakes?
Yes, that was 9.
I think it was
mid-90s.
95.
You've been an employee
it was
all your
95.
life. You've
About
been
95.
you've been an employee all your life.
My mom got a golden handshake. That's why I know.
So I think they're giving people, because retirement age used to be 55. I can't even.
So there were,
it.
if you
So
had if you had more than, I think, 20 years of service,
if you had more than 20 years of service,
you are
or had
eligible.
attained at the age 50,
you are
you
eligible.
are eligible.
Yes.
So now someone who has never been in business their whole life, they've been given an amount, and then they go start a business.
Half meter.
So that's when neighborhoods started having, like kiosks all over, butcheries, and all kinds of other businesses. And it just, like, and a lot of those businesses, they failed. Because these are people who don't know how to run business.
True.
Yeah, they don't know how to run businesses. They don't know. There are some that succeeded. Kuna wengine hata walianza kuuza kuku.
The bars.
Yeah, and
the bars. Remember the bars that were being put up in where the garage, where the cars are parked?
Yes. Nairobi West. Nairobi West.
Yes.
The houses next to shopping center.
Yes.
It became such a big mess. Like all those houses, now people had to move out.
There.
Yeah. So problem after problem after problem, because there's certain things that are not being taken care of. And then Afro-Jamaican is saying what? I don't know what he was surprised about, or maybe this is a side of Nairobi that he hasn't seen. And then Washeke says all these issues can be resolved by policies and good governance over time. Tax regime that encourages business investment and job creation, development of affordable housing by private developers like we have seen here. And then Tefia Chapa says asante, ananishukuru. I don't know Tefia Chapa
kumkaribisha kwa show.
Okay. Karibu tena Tefi. Give us your comments. Tell us what you think. And then Washeke says we're now talking about floods, but in a few months we'll be talking of hunger.
And that's what I wanted to bring.
Hunger or anger, or both.
These floods have destroyed hundreds of thousands of acres of food crops.
Yeah.
This will be a very tough year for Kenya.
My friend, forget that. Waterborne diseases.
Yeah.
Tuanze hapo.
Typhoid.
Homa, bilharzia.
Cholera.
Typhoid.
Yeah.
Cholera.
Tuanzie hapo.
Bilharzia. Alafu malaria.
My friend.
Mosquitoes.
And that is why
this is just that guy called Lave. Lave is just waiting.
Typhoid, because now watoto wanaanza kula chakula from.
And by the way,
anywhere.
don't forget, we have got schools. See
that people are being told to go to.
There was a directive. Schools open on Monday.
Starting on Monday.
Back on Monday, right?
Which river are you crossing to get there?
Not even that. Which schools have been cleared for whatever? The schools that have not been cleared.
Mold.
What's going on? Mold. Because there's some headmasters board who have been interviewed.
You guys are going too far when you talk about
latrines. Pit
No,
latrines.
we're not going too far. How are we going too far? It's true. What type of cleanup was done in those areas?
Boss, pit latrines.
Yes, remember the pit latrines were filled up.
Yeah,
filled up.
I know.
And that all that has been
all that affluent is going into the classrooms.
Yes.
It has come all the way out. And then somebody's telling you, leave where you are living, cross 6 rivers.
Go to higher ground.
Higher ground?
Cross 6 rivers, then go to school. And by the way, these parents in this area
through that
probably have not had any income in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Since this,
you know, another
because
sector,
you can't figure anywhere.
Another sector that's unfortunately really collapsing. It's been dying a slow death, but it's now collapsing. Is education. You know, the public schooling system can no longer cater for the population that we have. So there's a lot of informal schools within these informal settlements. There's a lot of informal schools in there.
I was listening, and I wish an educator can call to or can explain to us, like the computation. See, schools are supposed to get a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
They haven't received.
But you have,
they have not received.
Yes, you're right.
And the money that they have received,
by the way, in a long time,
it's in chunks.
Yes.
It's in small
they're
chunks.
Still owed. They're still owed money.
So they're still owed chums. So now,
and they're told mustume watoto nyumbani because of his
from Magoha's time.
So now you have to remember, these kids have to be fed.
Yep.
You have to buy food. You have to pay the teachers. You have to pay hot.
Well, teachers I think are paid by, depends on if it's a private area, right? Most times they're paid by TSC, blah blah blah, right? Unless it's some other teachers, depending on the school that you will pay privately, right? Or which subject it is that they're teaching. But the biggest one is always food. And the way it works, to some point, some parents don't have money. They can't pay. But they have an animal. Or they have beans. Or they have maize. That's how they pay.
And on top of that, by the way, it has
Ali,
been
it's
it
a
has
truth, banner. This is what is happening.
it has
on the
been
ground, banner.
mandated that your school fees you pay on a till number, through a till number.
Yeah.
The one that they wanted, the e-citizen. Imeingia
That one.
e-citizen
No,
bado ama
you
bado?
have to.
No, it's now till number. Yeah.
So there's a number that you have to pay. Now, back to what you were saying. Me, I can't afford,
Correct.
but I can bring milk.
Yes.
I can bring ambuzi.
Yes. Yes.
I can bring
And
firewood.
that's how the headmasters are.
And that is how-
That's how they've been
that's how
working
they're
on these
running the
guys.
school.
Yes.
Yes. Because pesa hakuna. Hawana pesa. Ali, school bus. Ushaona school bus ngapi waga zinapigaga ziriara nini weekendi? Zikienda kwa matanga, sijui zinaenda
Yeah,
sijui nini.
zinafanya job.
Hizo do unafikiri uenda wapi? Kama si mfuko ya hedi waga
But wasn't-
zinarudi hapa kunini kusaidia kwa
Didn't
hizi vitu.
the CS of transport wasn't there like a decree? And it could be. I mean,
Again, I don't know.
you know how here over here we've got the school buses with stop signals
Yeah.
Yes.
with on the career. Wasn't there something? And I'm gonna look to confirm because that thing has just come up where
Now I think we have some very fundamental, basic problems that I know sometimes you're told to ignore them.
but you can't.
Things are much
No,
better
you
off
can't.
than they used to be. But I think things are much better off for a certain small segment of the population. But for a majority and an
It's
increasing
not.
number, things are getting worse off.
Yes.
Things are getting worse off by the day.
Most of these guys, their kids don't go to regular school.
No, they don't.
So how are they going to suffer?
They don't go to public schools. How about
Exactly.
that? You're saying
So how are they?
regular, don't go to
They
public
don't have to
schools.
worry about
Yeah.
documents being destroyed,
So
staff rooms being underwater,
And books.
And by the way, don't
remember
forget
now, remember they also
books,
keep books
yeah.
and they're normally
Yes.
wapi staff room
In the
or
da-
Hades.
how many of
Sindio?
us used to leave our desks with books for over the holiday
Boss, we
with a
learnt-
padlock?
Boss, we learned after those that Kachapu would always come and pick that thing a good kick.
Uh,
The other guy would give it a good kick.
Tada!
Boss,
So-
ako kalok kako
But also-
tricycle is not
and
working.
don't forget, some schools have been designated as
Shelters.
Shelters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Washeke says cartels have taken over the education system in Kenya. Afro-Jamaican is asking, are the cartels foreigners?
Yeah, they're locals. They're
no,
Kenyans.
These are local cartels. These are very...
They are foreign to us, but
Yeah.
they're very local.
we have
they're
an
very local,
We
yeah.
have an educator commenting. Trish.
And then Udi says, but Zakayo has a budget to pay 11 advisors 1.1 billion. And then Trishi, an educator, says, what about the crazy amounts of money folks are paying for Form 1 sports? Yani education in Kenya, I feel
Yes.
like Kenya, sometimes I feel like Kenya just needs a fresh start. You know, like the way you can restore your phone back to factory settings.
Yes. Reset.
I feel like we need that
I
because
was in
some of these bad habits have become
Ingrained.
so entrenched, they've become institutionalized.
they are institutionalized.
So you
bro.
can't just come and
You can't
take them away.
You can't.
And there's a number of people who are benefiting from that broken system.
You know, like in the AT world, Omosh who can relate. You know, there are some guys who are so used to there's a certain system that has been set up. It would be easy for you to come in and let's say bring in cloud technology and that would career. But the amount of time that would go into setting up, converting,
Yeah.
configuring, unaweza kutoa jasho. Just thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. And you know, it's interesting. I don't know whether there was there was a video that I was
by the way,
watching.
See, they're renovating State House. But
Yes,
carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There was a video. There was a video I was watching during the week where Jirongo, former Lugari MP Jirongo, was interviewing PLO Lumumba and was also interviewing Sifuna. So and Jirongo has been part of that system. So now he's coming on the other side.
Yes.
Like trying to unveil the lead on some of the things that happened.
Crying wolf.
Where he said and I think that's what sometimes even makes good politicians go rogue. Like where he said that there was toxic waste that was being dumped in Northeastern in the 90s. He got the documents and then he took them to Moi at State House, and Moi almost wanted to
Chapa him slaps.
Moi almost wanted to beat him up. you know.
The thing the issue I have with that is, okay, you know, rest in peace, you know, but Mo is not here to defend himself.
He's not here to defend
anybody
himself.
can say anything about that guy, and we'll just take it as gospel.
But I think, you know, like, what that got me thinking about is how, like, even good people who are in the system, how difficult it is for them, you know. Not saying that Jirongo was a good person, but any good person who was in the system, unaona report kitu, then the person that you're reporting to is the one who's responsible for that cartel that's performing that crime. He's getting payouts from that cartel. So how do you work this system out? Greasing, you know, like when you go to Nyaw House, I don't know that things have changed. You know, like there's brokers everywhere. From
Nyayo House or Ministry of Lands?
No, Nyayo House.
Nyayo House.
Oh, immigration, boss.
Yeah.
Immigration,
no,
boss. That's
by the way, every floor you go,
yes,
you'll find people who don't work there, but you'll find them there.
But they have a chap.
But they have a Ministry of Lands. Those brokers even have access to boardrooms. They even have access to boardrooms.
Yes.
Unaweza hata ukitaka boardroom in the Ministry of Lands, unaweza kupatiwa na huyo broker. So it's kind of like and we have such a broken, it's a system that's so perfectly broken that the institution is in the broken part.
And that is why there's an aspect of RUTO's that I hope works. RUTO's vision. Digitizing.
Okay.
Because in one aspect, you are cutting and you're nyongaing loopholes. When you have one central collection, one repository where monies go, I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I know. I think that is a good thing. Because if, let's say, for example, let's look at Kanjo. Parking. So I know, like in Bolti, you can park anywhere. Now they have an app. There's a QR code you can scan, pay,
mobile,
and you bounce.
Without
even having to pay, pull out a ticket and put your whatever.
Yes, in the windshield.
In the windshield. You don't even have to do that. They tell you don't even have to do that. You just pay, you're here, enter your tag, or your number plate. And you've parked for 2 hours, whatever it is, now unaendelea. Easy. Money is collected, money goes, that's what's up.
Here's a problem.
Yes.
There's nowhere in the world where technology solved the problem of corruption, theft, and dishonesty. Technology will not solve that problem.
It sure won't.
What technology will do, it may just expose the weaknesses in the system, but it's not going to cure, because corruption is performed by people. And these people, they're so advanced. When these new systems are coming, they're always 10 steps ahead. When new technology is coming, they're 10 steps ahead of that. They're already trying to figure out how they will benefit from this new technology that's coming up. So technology is good. I agree with you. Technology is good, but then until we solve the ethical issues that we have and the problem of dishonesty, theft, corruption, that will not.
Okay,
you know,
so
technology,
so technology,
it's a temporary band-aid, but it's not gonna solve this problem.
So let me counter that. Some of us used to work parking. It was a very good cash economy.
Correct.
Yes.
Very good cash economy.
Oh, yes.
Extremely.
Very. Tulilipa shule hivyo.
No, I know. I know the parking issue.
Yes. No. So there used to be a place, Jama never called off, ever, because a night guaranteed to make about $1,200, about $1,800 or whatever. But the day he called off, the intake was 3 times.
Okay. Yeah.
Then they decided to institute the gates, the tolls, whatever. Of course, if you institute technology, there will always be those guys who will try to find a way to beat the system. But in the interim, your collection basket is going to double or triple. Until you find a way, to maneuver. So we went to Hyrax Hills in Nakuru over the holidays, and you couldn't pay cash or M-Pesa to the place. So there's a number that had been provided. So you had to log on to eCitizen and pay through eCitizen so that the money can go to because it's collection point. Now, in one aspect, from the outside, from our side, if from the outside looking in, like us who are out here, we know that if that is the case, then that there's an audit that is going on. There's a lot of money being collected. Very soon, landlords are about to pay what, 1.5%?
1.5%.
It started.
No, that's sales.
Yeah,
that's
sales. No.
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 1.5%.
Landlords in Kenya?
No,
Yes.
landlords.
It's
landlords.
1.5% of whatever the rent is.
Whatever the rent is, the
'Cause
government is
landlords
collecting
already
1.5.
No, it's a housing levy.
It's a housing levy.
They were
yeah.
already
They're already
this-
paying a
yes.
tax.
But
So
this
this
is now
1.5 is a housing
is a
levy.
housing levy that was snuck in as part of the housing levy that came
Yeah.
in, this affordable housing of Nani.
Yes.
Yes.
And that also
It's
there's
a
some-
1.5%.
And there's also something about number plates or something.
But to go back
Go
to
ahead.
what you were
Sorry.
saying,
Yes.
I think when we look at technology, and I know you guys are tech, and tech guys are sometimes like hammers. All hammers will see every problem as a nail. So here's a problem. When it comes to corruption, the money part to me is the very smallest part of corruption, because the money can be, you can see there was $100 here, but it's not here. So that's the easy part. The bigger part of corruption is things that are intangible. For example, hiring practices. How are you gonna use technology to mitigate from hiring someone who maybe is not necessarily qualified for that position? Hiring practices, just general abuse, wastage, and fraud. So money is a certain part of corruption, but when you look at corruption in the grand scheme, it is way beyond money. So technology,
Agreed.
you can use it to monitor,
Yes.
the
you
money.
can do that. Yes.
But the most effective, what has worked, I'm just going by what has worked in other parts of the world, is just trying to get an honest system. Try to build an honest system from ground up. And when you have honesty starting from the top, it's easier to infect that honesty, for lack of a better word, through the system than what we have right now. Because right now we're in a system where from the top we have dishonest people. As we speak right now, there's a cabinet secretary, Mithika Linturi, who's going through hearings over
he got acquitted.
over fertilizer
It's
scandal.
out? The information is out.
He was acquitted.
So I mean, the last time I checked, they were still going through here. There were hearings
did
that
you
were
check?
going through
Last.
in Senate. I think it was maybe like 2 days ago.
Boss, shut up.
So what do you mean it's a wrap? Like they say
He has been acquitted.
So they say there's not enough
Yes.
evidence.
Wameendelea.
Okay, so now
So what Ahmed Nasir said was true.
Again,
He has been acquitted.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. So again, those are some of the problems that we are experiencing, because in a normal place where we had honest people, even the president would not have allowed him to continue serving. Even the mention of,
the optics.
yeah,
The
and-
optics are not very good at all.
yeah, and like when we go back to Kibaki, and that's the reason why people appreciate
Wasn't there
Kibaki.
wasn't there a fertilizer conference in Kenya? He was
when
hosting.
recently.
No. When he was in court,
Yeah.
there was a fertilizer conference
Oh, that
where
is
there
a-
was some presidents were in town, and he
Oh,
was supposed to be part of the
was
career.
supposed to be part of
that
the
was
Yes.
IMF thing, I think.
And instead of being part, he was over there being grilled.
Yeah, but now you see that's why
Optics.
people appreciated someone like Kibaki, because Kibaki actually fired ministers, like who were involved in those scandals that were happening during his time. I think
Munaongea vibaya.
Daudi Muraria was fired.
One of them being the guy who's sitting in the office now.
Kiraitu Murungi was also fired. Was it Kiraitu Murungi? I think there was a couple of ministers who were fired with those scandals that happened at that particular time.
RUTO was fired too.
So, and RUTO was fired. RUTO was fired now in the coalition government. When we had the coalition, that's when RUTO got fired. That was in the second term.
But Kibaki was still there. So
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all
It's all gravy and muchuzi mix.
Yes.
Okay.
At that point.
All right.
But to go back to what you're talking about, IT.
Yeah.
So something that I think one Mike was trying to say was that whole electrifying records, or should I say, digitizing. I was saying electrifying, digitizing records, right? Especially at lands, like now they have what Ardhi Sasa, right? So Ardhi Sasa is now where you go and you can go in, you can register your, and then you can pay your rates. You can also check out your title and all of those sorts of things, and all sorts of different. You can register yourself and then tie your account to, say, a piece of property, so to speak, right? It's your property. Then this is the LR number, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. And then you can go and you can make payments. You can check. You can review. You can say, okay, the last time this one was paid, the rates, the rent, blah. All those sorts of things. And you use RD Sasa to do that.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with in this whole digitizing thing was, if the record that is being taken to be digitized was manipulated to begin with, then you have not resolved the problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so what ends up happening, if LR 43/4 says it's Omosh on whatever they were on paper, right?
Yeah.
But then when you digitize it, it's now Ali.
Yeah.
Then the record that they have is now Ali. Omosh is gone.
It's a compromised record.
Correct. Omosh is gone. Now, and I asked that question of people who I know who deal with, lands and all of those sorts of things. And they told me, well, what's actually happening is that the people who are actually entering the records, whoever is doing the work, are not lands people. No one from lands was touching those records. And so, like, let's say they have a vault. And in that vault, they have the files. And these files are LR4 through LR100.
Yeah.
If that's what they're entering, all of those are in a vault. These chaps who are entering are in that place. And by the way, they don't work for lands. They work for a totally different, separate department. They're not. They have nothing to do with lands. Kazi yao ni data entry.
Yeah.
Unakuja unaingisha, and that's it. And you exit. And those files stay in that room until they have wamemaliza nayo.
Now you see, if you just go compromise that data entry team, or whoever is responsible for that data entry company,
yes,
which is what was happening. Because remember, this company that was entering the data, there was also a tender that was awarded. So when the tender is awarded, some of those tenders unofficially come with certain caveats. Tutakupatia tender, but you gotta do this and this and this for us.
Yeah, these chaps actually were not. They were not outside people. I think it was trying to make it as clean as possible. They were not outside people.
Yeah.
They are inside people, meaning it's another government department that they were forwarded to this place.
To do this
and then on top of them, kuna wale watu wanawaangalia. And the people there at lands at Wakubwa have no access to these records. So whatever records it is that have now the batch that is now going in and supposed to be record, it's supposed to go in as is. Back to again that whole point of, if the record was flawed to begin with.
Yes.
It's a flawed thing that you're putting in.
Yes, it's garbage in, garbage out.
Correct. If Omosh already had, if I didn't have a way of proving on paper that I had it, and now Ali is the new owner electronically, then I have to go back and start fighting. Maybe I took a loan and I have another entity, not Omosh, that can prove that this title at one point had a lien on it, right? Or they had issued me a loan, and this is the title that they issued it against for LR4/8. And Ali also has the same, but no one can see how Ali got it, except when it was entered.
Yeah, now Eva here is telling us that technology just makes the corrupt not have to work hard. And then Doreen says, But is in that double taxation, the tenant is already paying the housing levy, then again
No.
the landlord.
The
I don't
tenant
think
is
the
not
tenant
paying.
is paying.
Okay,
Yeah.
she's right.
Yeah.
Tenant is paying housing levy for themselves. But the housing levy that is being, the 1.5% housing levy is for landlords. It has nothing to do with an ordinary Joe Blow citizen.
Okay.
Ordinary Joe Blow citizen will pay the housing levy.
Okay.
But there's now an actual housing levy for
landlords.
For landlords.
Okay.
Meaning ile income imeingia ya rent ukate 1.5 utumie nani? Gava.
Yeah, okay. And then Udimadenge says, as an auditor, you would be shocked how you can scheme the system. So there you go. And then I see here, Eva is saying again, technology solves sound money collection, monitoring practices, and what?
Then
so
what?
then on then what? So then on paper, these funds go towards development and improving infrastructure that is only seen on paper. Hence, back to the starting line, and the cycle continues. How can this cycle be broken?
But let me say this. So she brings up the building, the development, and improving infrastructure. Yeah. If you guys recall, there's a time Jimmy Wanjeke has been on Spice and interviewed,
Yeah.
and has even actually broken down constitutional requirements pertaining to borrowing money
Yeah.
when you put out
What, tenders or something?
tender. No, there's a word, like the infrastructure bond, like whatever it is,
Okay.
because it's for building, it's for
Yeah.
infrastructure, whatever. It's supposed to come once you get it. It's supposed to come to treasury, and then treasury it's supposed to be disbursed for whatever. There has to be.
Yeah.
It
There's
has to
something
be.
called the consolidated fund.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has to be cataloged.
Yeah.
But, and I think at some point,
So the money, when you get the money from a
The-
debt, it
yes.
has it
The-
lazima ingie kwanza. It's like
And the money-
ukipokea loan, lazima iguse account yako
but
kwanza.
the money itself is supposed to be for development
Yeah.
and infrastructure.
It's supposed to be
Period.
ring-fenced, yeah.
That is it. And it has to be, you can follow it.
Yeah.
So it comes, Omosha ameleta, kuna trail, it went to Ali's account, then from Ali's account, it's supposed to show that the Mombasa Nairobi highway has been dual carriaged. We have built a bridge, we've done this or whatever. It's supposed to show that. But it's like, before it gets to Omosha's account, Omosha doesn't want to send the money, but before it gets to Ali's account, for some reason, it is not clear as to where the money is.
Yeah.
Imefanya abracadabra.
Yeah, so that's
And
called, it's called odious debt.
Yeah, odious debt.
Yeah.
And that is what, if you guys get a chance, just go to Jimmy Wanjigi on
Which
Spice
one?
FM.
Interview 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Zote, just tafuta them and then you listen to them, because nobody has come out yet to repudiate or to refute.
So it's kind of like a credit card.
I take that
a
back.
Credit card company.
Refute his claims.
A credit card company sending you a bill, but you never spent the money.
Bingo.
Yeah, so that's what's happening to Kenya. So this bill is being given to the taxpayers to foot, but you never, like the way when a credit card statement comes, it shows you went to
Yes,
Mexico,
yes, whatever.
you went to Vegas,
Uh-huh.
you bought a ticket.
Omosh went to
Whatever.
the Bay Area.
Yeah, you went to the Bay Area.
Homa Bay.
But now I get a statement that's showing that I have debt. It's not even saying where, like I spent the money.
No.
But it's showing I owe
You owe whatever.
$10,000.
Yes.
Ilipe.
Lazima ulipe.
Yeah.
So-
that's what's happening.
So in Mozambique, something happened. Something similar happened to that.
happened, yeah.
And the people refused to pay
And
the debt.
they-
In
and
fact,
they went to court.
They went to court.
Yeah.
And they won.
Yeah.
The day the Kenyan citizenry wakes up, and it's one of those, I hope, like now this situation with El Nino, because remember, the Meteorological Department had warned about
About El Nino.
El Nino.
And then they were forced to apologize.
They were forced to apologize. El Nino happened
Yeah.
in Mandera, Eastern Turkana, those places.
Yeah.
And we never, there wasn't that hoopla. But it wasn't Nairobi, because if you remember, there was the Green Army, all these things, hoopla, whatever. Guys were ready for it.
Yeah.
But it never came. So the guy in the charge of the Met, if you guys listen to his apology, was it really truly an apology?
No, it wasn't an apology. He alicheza na maneno.
He said alicheza na maneno.
Yeah.
Vile aliupenda kucheza na maneno.
Billas.
No, he does.
Mini straightforward.
Yeah. But he apologized for miscommunication. It wasn't miscommunication. It was not communicating or whatever. But he used that one of the heavy rains.
Yeah.
He said heavy rains, but
yeah. But yeah, he knew exactly what
he was saying.
About.
So it was so apparently prayers were answered for there not to be El Nino. That was late 2023, early 2024. What happened? Now there's all these.
It became buckets.
Yes, it became buckets.
Now when you mentioned when Kenyans wake up, I think, for example, you see like these sneaky things that are being passed in parliament while people are not watching. One of the things I think these politicians have realized is that Kenyans love things that are trending. You know, kama kuna kitu ina trend sasa, it's what most media houses will cover, which is why I like Spice, because they will touch on even issues that are not trending.
Everything and anything.
But now, if we had more spices, not just Spice, if we had more places, this local media that not only cause Spice, they discuss national issues.
Yes.
Now, if we could have local media in Muranga that's talking about, you know, like certain issues affecting Muranga, or even bills that are being passed in parliament that will affect them directly. Kama iya levy came to surprise people. There was another one, a video that was going around on some traffic laws that have been, they were just updated overnight. You know, like now a cop is allowed to go inside your car.
Correct.
You know, things that were not allowed before.
And that becomes the issue, because you're right. There's something about what is trending. Mtu amechapwa ameshikwa na bibi sijui what,
yes,
whatever.
all those things. When you go check, and it's so sad, when you go check, you can go on YouTube to check what's trending in different countries. If sometimes you go check what's trending in Kenya, good thing, you know, like Kenyans love entertainment, so there'll be a lot of music videos, but then you'll always see just some very weird stuff.
Very weird.
I'ma do this. Go to any media YouTube page, Citizen, NTV, KTN. Go watch. Just go do that. Click on that tab for popular video. Look at the most popular videos. You'll be shocked.
And that is why, like, I'll watch Spice FM. I'll watch the News Gang with Linus, Yvonne, Sam, and
Nani alitoka? Joageo.
No, alitoka and Francis Gashuri. And
yeah.
there's not Amina. What's her name?
Jamila
Mohammed.
Yeah.
You know, faithfully, because they bring to the forefront.
Yeah.
And they're very objective, because it's like I'm not saying that this has done this, no, but this is how things are. What do you guys think? You know, and I think also there's a semblance of us here, because I think sometimes in Kenya the rat race is so real. They need to survive.
Yeah.
They need to want to just provide.
Yeah.
That
so people don't have time to
your
digest.
blinders are so on that you can't. I sometimes update my mom or some folks at home. I'm like, yo, by the way, have you guys seen this? Like, ala atini naendelea? Because a guy are watching. They are more concerned probably. You know, like the guys are working. Guys are trying to fend. Wanatafuta kazi. People are looking for work. People are looking for whatever.
Yeah. So
you know,
to be honest, people don't have time.
They don't have time, and it's not because
decipher in detail.
Hawana.
Yeah.
It's not that they want to, but it's like the circumstances that are forcing them to whatever.
But this is where, you know, like if, for example, and this is where I personally have an issue with CDF, but that's neither here nor there. But
there was a show about CDF.
Yeah, your issue at CDF. If people in parliament, because now the focus is going on that CDF. So this other aspect of legislation, people don't even care about that anymore because they feel like that's not going to win them votes. Because these are the things that I think all MPs, if this thing is happening, even before it's debated, just when it's a bill that has been proposed, that's when you have to go start sensitizing people within your constituency, within your community. By the way, like they want to pass this law. Let's try to figure out a way of blocking it. Make people aware early enough. But that's not happening.
But here's another thing. There's a way we get distracted by things that are not important. So we have a flood. Floods have happened. Guys have been displaced. People have died. People are still dying. Schools are to open. We don't even know what's going on. This is not being settled. But what are guys talking about? Fake fertilizer. Mythical Inturi.
Good. I mean, I would not say, okay, because fake fertilizer story.
Yeah, because guess what? Like Omosh is telling us it has been done. There is the fake fertilizer. On this part of because it has been a serious mismanagement and incompetence on one disaster preparedness.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
What one bomolewa manyumba? Even if a directive has been carried, what effective communication had been set in place?
Now, with the president,
yes,
about to come to the US, what question would you, if you had the opportunity to ask the president a question, like what is it that you would want to ask him? I mean, before we get to talk about the trip, what it's about, and if we are going to get any benefit out of this trip.
One question.
And this is to the audience too. Type up a question, because you never know if we'll have a chance to ask him this question. So type up a question. President is coming. I think it's in 2 weeks. Yeah. Within 2 weeks, the president will be here. Actually, within 10 or 11 days. It's coming up very soon.
What was your thought process in not calling for a national disaster? And what protocols did you put in place to effectively deal with it? Not 3 weeks later, but from jump. Having received what you received from the Met, who have not been inconsistent, but have been consistent in predicting the weather patterns.
Yeah. Okay. DJ Mosh Fire.
Yani, at this point, with the way things are happening for us in Kenya, it's almost like you just have to say, nimeshindwa. I'm not there, so why should I give a flying flip? But we can't. And as we've seen, we are, in as much as we are removed, we are not removed. And so, going back to the question of what question would you ask? There's so many things that I would say, why? But more so is, what is it that you can do to help make people's lives easier in Kenya across the board, whether you're making money, not making money, or whatever? You've been sitting in office all this time. So what is it, if you're to do your own report card, wewe mwenyewe, what have you done that you would say, hapa nimefanya hivi?
I think because the system we have, the people who can politic better are the ones who've been given the prominent positions. I honestly, in my honest heart, I believe the president.
Ali, when you say politic, you mean lying?
I don't necessarily mean lying. Not all politicians are liars. Not all politicians are liars.
But in this
But
particular,
when I say when you give prominence to politics, is that the way politicians think. I think people need to understand how politicians think. Politicians think.
please do, because you know you are a diaspora rep. I mean, our US rep.
I'm not a politician myself, but I've talked to a lot of them, and I've gotten to understand how they think. Politicians, you know, like you have to think of their biggest incentive to being there. Of course, they were elected, so the biggest incentive is to be re-elected. And if not being re-elected, they would want the people who are making them there be re-elected. So, like if it's a president, you would support him at all costs. So the problem is when you have someone with a political mind in a task that requires thinkers, doers, technical people, they will not be of help, because a politician looks at a problem and immediately thinks of how will this advance our politics, or how will this get me re-elected? How will this? That's how politicians think. And even especially people who've been in politics for a long time, that's constantly how they think. You know, like if you're a problem solver, you see a problem here, you take out the rest of the world. You're not thinking of what will this one say, or what will who you think. You're here, you have a problem, you know, you're looking for the best possible outcome to solve this problem. So now when the people who are making your decisions and surrounding you and advising you are politicians, and they know that they're going to win favor from you if they say things that will advance your politics or their politics, that's what's going to happen. And that's the reason why during, I can't remember what disaster it was a couple of months ago, when the government spokesman went and got people who were wrapped with bandages and got them to do, you know, like a press conference. I can't remember whether it was a fire or an accident.
Oh, you're talking about the Embakasi thing?
Yes.
The Embakasi explosion?
Yes. Mwaura, the government spokesperson, they went for photo ops because, you know, like us guys, we get annoyed, but when you think of the person on the ground,
they don't know any better.
Akiona mtu akona mabandage hapo next, anaona enyewe serikali inafanya kazi mpaka wameleta hawa watu ambao wameumia wanawasaidia. So that's how, you know, like politicians tend to think. When you have Kibaki had a lot of problem solvers. He had a lot of problem solvers, and that's the reason why he was able to achieve whatever he achieved within a very short period of time, coming on the heels of a Moi government, which was at rock bottom. So that's, to me, that's a problem. You know, like when you've surrounded yourself with such people, there's no way out. Because even the policy people, even the thinkers who are there, when they assess the situation and they see, like, if I suggest something that is prudent at solving this problem, but it's not going to advance or it's going to regress their politics, then I'm going to be pushed out. So now, even as the expert, you have to start balancing politics.
You know, the thing is, I'm going to say this before Mosh chimes in. There's no difference then between them and the politicians here, the Republic or the Rithagli clans supporting Trump.
I'll tell you the big difference here. I'll tell you where the big difference is here.
Because Achuna Pacho over here says politicians are spin masters.
I'll tell you where the big difference is here. And in a lot of places where it's not like there's no corruption here. There's a lot of very high level corruption here. But I'll tell you the difference is that the political service and the federal service or the civil service is separate. Totally separate. You know, like when, for example, when disaster strikes, you know, like there are people who are career experts who are gonna go. They're gonna be the first people to go there to solve the problem. There's a good separation in the sense that there's look up, for example, the bridge disaster that happened in Baltimore.
Yes,
that's a perfect example.
Yes.
So politicians are gonna talk, but the people who are coming there first to figure out, like what do we need to do immediately?
First responders. Yes.
So there's a good separation, which is what we need to figure out how to do and to make that separation permanent, meaning you can work in the government without ever having an ambition of becoming a politician, and in a capacity where you can do your work. You have the authorization to do your work without any political interference. Look at the Federal Reserve, people who make decisions on the economy. There's so much detachment that even from president to president, a Republican president taking over from a Democrat president will leave the same
persons in place.
Person serving, yeah.
Yes.
Like
Jerome Powell.
Exactly, because there's
so
certain
there's no
things
vacuum.
that need continuity.
Yes.
That need continuity. So that's a problem. What we have in Kenya is a political service that's also micromanaging those decisions.
You remember, I think you shared this post, something over there. My guy, our Mtuwetu
syndrome.
Mtuwetu syndrome.
Yeah.
Was that Mythical Inturi's wife or somebody who was? I can't remember because I couldn't even bear watching it.
Those were members of parliament from Meru, the ones who are trying to defend Mythical Inturi.
Ati Mtuwetu sijui what.
Yeah,
what.
Those were members of parliament from Meru. But now you see, when you do that, and this is why you need to understand how politicians think.
Like Achuna Pacho says again, spin masters.
Yes, but you see now those politicians, like we are here looking at them as clowns, but that's gaining them clout on the ground.
And by the way, I remember one time Dombolo actually, when Mike Mbovi Sonko was running, not even for Senate, he was
a member of Parliament,
Makadara.
Yeah.
We were over here castigating, and our lens, we were looking from the lens of this guy has not done anything, he's not been whatever. But Dombolo said, wacha niwaambie kitu. Umse amekuja amepatia vijana maji clean ya kuosha magari, ameletea wamama wa kuuza mboga miavuli, unaona, and he's providing transport for people, sometimes for free. Watu, those guys are not even going to listen to you over here who they consider probably you're sitting on a palatial whatever. They don't listen to you, but those guys are going to vote based on the circumstance and what they see. It's that simple.
Zile unga alikuwa napeana.
Simple as that.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Unajua mtu from somebody from Murang'a hapo Kabati hapo Keno.
Yeah.
Analetewa unga na mafuta.
Yeah.
Edible oils or not.
Immediate needs.
Hapo.
Yeah.
Umseme nishughulikia.
You're talking about visions 5-10 years.
Big picture.
Big picture. Hiyo na big picture kwenda.
There's a dam coming with
nimeletewa food, nimeletewa unga na mafuta. Na kwanza nimeangushiwa maziwa when Iria was governor. Nimeangushiwa. It doesn't matter looking at it from the grand scheme of things, but the fact that it has been shukishwad. Uni mtu wetu. So when that guy comes and says, I am being persecuted by Ali and Omosh. Wow. Wewe mtu wetu utawachana naye sijui what.
Yeah.
And they have perfected, like Achuna says, they have become political, and they take advantage of Munyonge Wanjiko because we are vulnerable like that.
Yeah. And you see, that's where, like our electoral system, we said throw in technology, it's gonna solve problems, but look at where we are. And that's why I say, like technology is nice, but technology cannot replace honesty.
No.
Ethics, and just those things that are needed. And like Mike, when we're coming from Boston, there's something very profound that you told me that I kept thinking about. There's certain values that are ingrained from when you're a child.
Yes. 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those values, because they've been ingrained for a very long time, they will be your guardrail.
They're part of, yes.
They become part and parcel of you.
Yes.
They become part and parcel of you. So I think what also has happened, even outside the politics, is where certain things have become normalized, you know, like from the household level, whereby, you know, like dishonesty, you know, like when imtoi labda umeenda umeiba ukaleta kitu home, and you're not questioned.
Yes.
You're not questioned.
So that becomes normal to you.
So it becomes normal to you.
Yes.
It becomes hustle legit.
Yes.
It becomes a legit hustle.
Yes.
That's why people wonder, like, oh, you know, like bribing, like kutoa hongo. It's become something very normal. You know, like it's normal. Even that's why it's called now facilitation fee. It's a normal thing. Because
or as Kaiser Sose would call it, brown envelope.
Brown envelope, yeah. You know, so I think we have unfortunately bred a society. We never used to be like this.
No.
We've bred a society whereby we are glorifying thieves. We're glorifying people who are known to have been corrupt, to have stolen, but the society glorifies them. They show their cars and everything. No one is questioning. No one is questioning.
You remember, I think you were, I don't know if it was off air or on the show, you're telling us about how there are certain things that you guys are taught.
Yeah, you say us guys as Muslims.
As Muslims,
yeah.
When I say so Muslims, so like now, if I come and say I was supposed to get 5 kilos, but you gave me 4.95.
Yes, that's one of the heaviest sins. Unajua sisi hatuna ile dhambi, you know, like a sin is a sin.
Yes,
there are some sins that are heavier. So that one in the pecking order.
Yeah,
I don't know what number it is, but it's very high. You're cheating someone on weight. Yeah.
Something as simple as that. And I'm talking about somebody maybe in his 50s or 40s.
Yeah.
Even like 70s or 60s or whatever. If I come and tell him, boss, you told me 4.9, we said this was 5, but this is 4.95.
Yeah.
What is the recourse? Well, what happens if I come and tell you, Bonali, you said this is 5 kgs, but in Mepima it is 4.75.
Yeah, so if it's 4.75 and you've come back to me, I have to give you that difference. You know, so
no questions asked.
No questions asked.
Yes.
So the question is, you know, like the question is, did I now at a personal level, did I do it by mistake or did I do it by design?
And that is what I was talking about when I was talking about ingrained.
Yes.
There's something that Muslims, like even when you're talking about when you're talking to us about how even when you are going for school, madrasa at a young age, what you're taught,
yes.
You know, what you sit through, you know, and that's why I was saying that it is so ingrained and inbuilt in you at a young age that even by the time you get to 14, 15, already you're structured.
Yes.
You're structured in morality. You're structured in principles. You're so structured that by the time you figure
it becomes
it
normal.
Is you.
It's normal. It's not something that you have to struggle to do.
No.
Yeah. And that's part of
that's what we don't have.
Why Somalis have been very successful.
Exactly.
In especially business.
No matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
However you bring up your kids. And that's where and my point was, and I'm learning this. It's not about how much money you spent on your kids.
No.
It's the quality of time you spend with your kids. The
quality of time and what the kind of people you built out of them.
That you spend quality time, kids will always remember. I remember I went with Uncle Ali,
yes.
I went with Uncle Omosh, Alinipeleka, ice cream.
Yeah,
we laughed.
They won't remember $300 Nike.
No.
They'll remember experiences.
No.
Yeah.
That is, and it's one of those you're like, this is true. Because most of us don't remember that my dad or my mom spent whatever. No.
Bought me a BMX.
Tulienda Naivasha. Ama alitupeleka mahali.
Yeah, people remember experiences. Yeah.
Tukaduf.
Yeah.
Ama tukasosi. I went to this place. Alitupeleka, we had a good time. We were surfing. It's not that he spent $2 million. No, it's experiences.
Yeah, it's
That's what
experiences.
kids love.
Yeah, that's what kids remember.
Before
But
we
now-
digress.
Yeah, but now you see there's a lot of money, and sometimes some parents start throwing money at kids, like money that is not even explainable, and these kids grow up seeing this, and that's when vitu kama tenders na nini, easy deals, mtu anakuambia ati tufanye deal, anakuuliza masi unajua kama uko na 500k kuna deal flani, we nipe hiyo 500k within a week, na kupatia 800k, not explaining like exactly what the deal is or anything, but anakwambia wewe usijali, kuna deal tu imeiva, we nipatie, mi ndakuja kukusort within 3 days. So those things, they start looking normal, and that's where we have come as a society.
If
in Kenya,
you
unfortunately.
remember when you were in Boston with the Indefatigable, and she gave us a scenario, a situation, but the guy that she deals with, even if it takes off the top, it is kidogo sana. Because me, I was expecting this guy is gonna make chums or makes chums out of it, but it's because of
Her forex.
Or
Forex
the
guy.
Somali guy,
you
he
know.
uses for
And I'm
Forex,
like,
yeah.
this is how Muslims have been raised, to
All
be
right.
principled, to not, and I'm like, this is ingrained from when they're children, because you find a guy in his 50s and he's doing this, na hata kugonga.
And not saying there's no corrupt people amongst
There
the
are.
Muslim community.
There are,
They're there.
but
then there's a common set of values. One thing that brings us together, there's a common set of values. Today, if I meet a Muslim, he's from Bosnia. We've not met.
same thing.
I will know that there's a certain common set of values.
Yes.
That we share from the very get-go, even before talking to them, even before getting to know them. I'll know that there's this common set of values that we share that are guardrails.
Yes.
From veering here or veering there. But now back to the conversation about the president. Tomosha, I wanna come to you. Is what is the president's itinerary looking like? Like when is he? Where when do we expect to see him? Where is he going fast? Or what do you know so far?
Well, so far I know that he's coming in. I think it's the 20th.
Okay.
Then the 21st, he's going to be in Atlanta.
What is he going to be doing in Atlanta?
In Atlanta, he's supposed to be meeting Kenyans, diaspora Kenyans. And, by the way, I found this out I think it was yesterday. Did you know that you could have registered to be part of Kenyans who are going to be in the south lawn of the White House?
I did see that link.
Allah?
Yes.
News to me. Please do share.
Ali, describe where you saw it.
I did see that link. There was a link. There was one that came directly from, I don't know if it was the Diaspora Affairs Ministry, or there was one on the embassy's website.
It was the embassy's website.
It was the embassy's website.
But the embassy's website, it was not direct.
It wasn't direct.
No, it just said, basically you went to the embassy's website and it said, I think something like either statement on President Ruto's upcoming something. It was something, but then when you went into it, then it says, he's President Ruto is going to be in the country, blah blah blah, and you click here to register as one of the folks who would receive him or be on the south lawn of the White House when he comes in.
That was still within the embassy's website.
It was within the embassy's website. So when if you clicked that link, then that link says, and now you were able to register and all of that.
Okay.
But I mean, those slots are gone, and they posted that. I think it was April 20.
No, I saw it.
I think it was April 24th.
Yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
But it was not very direct. I was surprised, shocked, and befuddled. I was like, what? I didn't know that. So again, I was like, okay, so what type of how is this information? I guess you have to go to the embassy website to check it every day to know what it. Anyway,
Yeah.
I found that very interesting. But anyway, so back to President Ruto. I think arrives on the 20th. The 21st, he's going to be in Atlanta. He's going to meet Kenyans in Atlanta. And it's more of a, I guess, a town hall meet and greet type of session, and there'll be opportunity for questions to be asked. I don't know if there's a way for folks to forward questions ahead of time, or whether there's going to be a mic where you stand up and you ask, or how it's going to be what is it called? I don't know how that's going to be deliberated, so to speak, right? There's got to be somebody who's, controlling the narrative and all of that. I have no clue how that's going to work, but he's coming to Atlanta and he's going to meet folks in Atlanta. The other thing he's also going to be doing in Atlanta is he's going to be going to Tyler Perry Studios. And the thought behind going to Tyler Perry Studios is a combination of, I guess I'd call it the creative industry, but more film, to kind of try to get what I term as Black Hollywood to go to Kenya and shoot movies. So basically take advantage, like, okay, there's things that you guys like to do or want to do, instead of doing them here or going elsewhere, come to Kenya and do it. Because there was a time when Kenya was available for, or Kenya folks preferred to go to Kenya to shoot movies, say even than South Africa at some point. But then I think Kenya's became untenable, and I think they started doing Zimbabwe or something like that. So Kenya has not, we have Hapa movies, but
our
not
industry
so much.
Is still, we don't per se
Support
I would not
it.
say we have we make movies, but I don't think we have a movie industry. South Africa,
I'd say we're
has
not supported.
South Africa has a movie industry.
Yeah, but
Nigeria has a movie industry, but in
Correct.
Kenya, we
But-
make movies.
yeah, but
we
you see-
make some movies.
yeah, but see, here's the thing.
yeah.
When I, as a Hollywood producer, I'm shooting for locations or I'm scouting for locations, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about your industry. I just want a location or a place that is conducive. The security, I'll ship in my cameras and all of those sorts of things, because I'm not using your stuff, right? Because I have a budget, right? So if it's a movie house, say 20th Century Fox, who are pushing my stuff, then it's just for me to scout, get the location, and if it means that I want to shoot a fall scene, then do I go to Niagara Falls, or do I go to Thompson's Falls, or do I go to, you know what I'm saying? So it depends on the movie, right?
Yeah.
And the whole point of it is that at some point, Kenya was looking open for that, but it seems like that died down a lot.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that they're trying to revive.
But real quick, Omosh, let
Yeah.
me and this is something that I got from someone who's in the movie industry and explained to me. Remember that movie called Black Hawk Down?
Yes.
Does anyone know where that movie was shot?
I don't know.
Somalia.
No, it wasn't Somalia
Good guess.
for sure. It was not Somalia for
It
sure.
wasn't Somalia.
No.
It was Morocco.
Allah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Like what
And
what
Morocco
gives,
trade agreements. US.
Morocco.
Aha,
already-
there we go.
Morocco, the only African country with a trade agreement with the US. But now look, with movies, what gives you an advantage, as if you already have an existing industry?
It's the cast.
Is not only the cast, you may be coming with a cast from here, but let's say, for example, there's certain things you need, like you need a crowd of 200 people. So in a country that already has an industry, they already have an infrastructure and a system of getting those 200 people. Because like a place that doesn't have an industry is now kwanza kutafuta mtu anajuana.
Unajua mtu.
Yeah, think of it as a carpenter, because I'm in the wood business. I know. Think of it as a carpenter who has carpentry skill, as a cottage skill, or someone who has an industry whereby if a hotel calls and says, I want 100 tables and 400 chairs within 5 weeks, they know exactly what they need to do to get those 100 tables and 400 chairs. Uyu carpenter, like anaweza kuwa na hiyo cottage skill, but and that's where, like having a pre-existing industry kind of helps. But like you said, there's a lot of movies that have been shot in Kenya.
Correct. Because if you're scouting that's how you start. If you're scouting for locations, and to be honest, even if you look, I know we don't have a lot of Kenyan short movies on Netflix or whatever, but we do have them. So we have enough for these guys to be interested.
Yeah.
The question then becomes, what are the costs attributed to that? Because do we have good hotels? Yes. Do we have good places where you can shoot movies, where you can do whatever? And
trailer parks.
Depending on what it is that you're trying to do and what type of movie is it that is being shot, right? All of those things, quote unquote, are there. Yeah. For instance, Tyler Perry's studios that he's going to visit, that's where Nini was done. Was it coming to America too?
Yeah, the Eddie Murphy one, the one that had
the one that was done. What was it, 2 years ago or something?
About a year. Oh yeah, about a year and a half. Yeah.
That was shot at Tyler Perry's, right? And there's a whole host of outside of Hollywood, the next big place is his studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how massive.
That's a movie where Rotimi was.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm. So then the other thing also, which is also still on creatives, and something folks may not think about, is that Atlanta has the music industry. There's a ton of folks in the music industry or music world who are based out of Atlanta. There are like a ton of them. Mm-hmm. Other than the big shot producers who have always been there, but just these young cats or whatever, it's a whole other world. So those are things that I think they're looking at enhance or jumping onto to see how Kenya can become that so-called help with that cottage industry, as well as with our creatives. Maybe even you never know. I don't know if they're thinking of doing a sister city with maybe Kenya and between Atlanta and Nairobi. I don't know. But again, those sorts of things could be possible by going in there, because if you're coming in as a president of Anini and you're on a state visit, there's certain things, hopefully the people in his office have thought of those sorts of things. And in as bad or as crazy as it may sound, me, if I'm Sakaja, I'm on that plane. I'm coming here like an nonsense.
Anyway, Sakaja has got more issues about printers.
But you see, here's what you do. You can leverage these guys with some of their rapid response, all of those sorts of things, and all of. There's so many things that you can do.
But what's
again, that's if me. But
what's
I have an issue.
What's the expected outcome of, because it's a whole president,
correct,
who's going to visit a film studio? I personally have some mixed feelings about that.
The expected outcome is hopefully they may be able to even ink a deal where maybe when these guys need to shoot those sorts of scenes or whatever, blah blah blah, they'll go to Kenya.
Now I remember there was a deal that was inked with the NBA. Maybe it's still a bit too soon. I don't know if there's
okay. Are you talking about NBA Africa or you're talking about NBA? There's NBA Africa and then there
was a deal that was inked,
right?
but this is where I'm just saying, is this more for aesthetics or is there something tangible?
It could be, but I mean the tangibility is this what I'm telling you, right?
Okay.
That's the goal. The goal is to see how you can go and tap into that and see how our Kenyan film industry could be liaised with these chaps, especially a big studio, because Hollywood is large, right? Then you have to split. But if you're going to Tyler Perry, you're starting somewhere. He's black. We are black. He's pro-black. It makes sense.
Okay.
Now, can we handle? I do. That's a whole other conversation. And maybe that's where he comes in and helps Kenyans even build.
Now,
you never know.
Udi's asking where in ATL is he coming to? Udi clearly doesn't know.
Udi, I'll get you the information. Okay. I forget actually.
As he searches, Ali, here's my issue.
Yes.
Charity begins at home. in the English colloquial language. Gemishi magana musia. Here's the issue.
Maguta.
Broti. You know, I don't have a problem with the president visiting Teleperi Studios.
Yeah.
But what do we have in place in Kenya for Kenya Wood? What do we have working? How supportive are we of the local industry pertaining to entertainment? We've got Lupita, Eddie, the gentleman who did a movie with Will Smith, Slavery, on Apple TV. I'll get the name, and I'm sure the listeners they know a movie that they did is a Kenyan in it. We have been a force in Hollywood, but nyumbani tumefanya nini?
Okay.
What have we? So for me, I think the issue is: are we, or do we have a system? Is the system set up in such a way that it is really truly supporting?
So like
movie industries, entertainment shows or whatever in Kenya? Because remember, we can harken back to music. Off air, we were talking about the kids who are doing the current, what did you call them? Not gengeton.
Urban tone.
Urban tone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What were we saying? If guys don't pick this up or whatever.
So you see, the thing is, and I'm not in the movie industry, so I'm not gonna talk as an expert. But just what I know, even like from within, the industry I'm in right now, and this goes across all industries. Things become easier when you build when the industry that you have, when you have an industry in place. When it comes to movies, we do not have an industry in place, and I'm saying this in a very polite way. We make some movies here and there, but we don't have, like the way Nigerians have Nollywood, and the way South Africans, there's certain South African actors.
I beg to differ.
That you'll be able to
the
identify.
industry is there. It's not getting support.
No. When I talk about an industry, I'm saying like existing by an industry. I don't mean that we make movies. You see, like
we make movies.
No, ngoja uno Mike. Like for example, in Kenya, for example, we make wooden products, right? Yes, no, we make products out of wood. Yani like carpenters.
Okay,
but do we have an industry? Like a wood industry? No, we don't. It's still what you call cottage. It's kind of like I don't know how to explain.
But the industry
is still informal, Ali. But
the industry is still there.
So that's why I'm saying
industry eco.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying
industry eco.
Okay, hold on.
When we're talking about an industry, like when you go to Nigeria, for example, you would not need to be told that there's a movie industry here. When you go to LA, and maybe LA is an unfair example, but when you go to LA, nobody needs to tell you that there's a movie industry here. When you go to Nairobi randomly, let's say you're Afro-Jamaican working in Nairobi, is there anything that you'll see that will tell you that there's a movie industry? No. So just making movies does not mean we have an industry. It's just like also building items made of wood does not mean you have
okay, Ali, I get your point, but then I get your point. And you're biased, so you won't even. You're biased.
No, I'm not biased. You are.
Bruh.
Come on, man.
You're biased. However, I get what Ali's trying to say.
Yeah.
But Ali, we have to start somewhere.
Yes, we do.
The industry is there.
We have to start somewhere.
It is there.
And so by him, no, the industry is there.
It is there.
No, okay, the industry is there in terms of we are churning out movies. Okay, but what Ali is saying is that it's not a factory. I don't know if that's making sense.
Yes.
It's there. If factories are there. Veve.
No, it's not.
Veve is not a factory.
No,
it's a product.
Okay, so there's
So
individual
we do-
projects.
Kenya Wood is
individual
there.
projects.
No, we have
projects.
individual projects,
have individual
that are
projects.
coming out.
I will respectfully
but we
disagree
do not
with
have
both of you.
we do not have a factory that is or should in fact factories
A factory
what's this where cars get assembled, an assembly line.
An assembly line.
We don't
yes.
have an assembly line.
Yes.
And the assembly line is what normally people call the industry.
what people
the
call the
Bollywoods,
industry.
the
Yes.
Nollywoods, the Hollywood. That's the assembly line, right?
So you see,
and that's what I think Ali is trying to
if
say.
you go to South Africa,
We are not at that level yet.
If you go to South Africa,
SA has it.
if you go to South Africa, for example, you need let's
I
say
disagree, but okay.
you need 200 actors within 3 days. There's an assembly line to be able to produce them. Just like I told you, if we, for example, like a wood industry, if a hotel comes and tells you we need 200 tables and 400 chairs to be made within 2-3 weeks, when there's an industry, it will be able to produce that. But then when it's that cottage kando ya barabara, they are not able to produce that. And that's why it's called a cottage industry, meaning it's not a fully functional industry, meaning it's not day to day. It's project by project.
Ida, please.
Yeah.
I need you on this call if you can make it.
It's
Correct
project,
these two guys over here.
It's project by project.
It
okay.
is not.
Okay, that's fine.
We are going to.
We can respectfully. We can respectfully disagree
because
on
I
that.
think the problem is there is no support.
Well, hopefully this, because if he's taken it serious enough to actually go sit in a studio, and this is actually they're calling it the Creative Economy Growth Policy and Partnership Event.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
And hopefully out of this, again, if it's a partnership event with a big studio, it would help grow our cottage industry.
Nivipindre, because for me, sometimes I think the genesis of some of these things growing comes with there being support.
Correct. And
locally,
you and I are saying the same thing.
Locally, because when I look at, let's say, for example, I'm looking at Citizen, or KTN or whatever. I am seeing a lot of these foreign movies with subtitles and everything or whatever.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay? I see that.
Yes.
My mom, her brothers, everyone is locked onto those things.
Correct.
And yet we have people like Akina
Tosh.
Tosh, rest in peace. That group Akina Njugush, they have Maisha Magic.
Yes.
On I think they're on Zuko or whatever. Maisha Magic. They have got the Showmax, whatever.
There's
a lot of content
on Showmax.
There is a lot of content.
Yes.
But consumption, because there's also that aspect of the government. Again, government like in Nigeria had passed a law that consumption of whatever is being processed, is it 80%, 75 or 80%?
I think it was 70 or 80 or whatever.
Has to be local.
Correct.
And they did not blink. They hakuna kufushia.
And maybe we're gonna get there after.
There is
maybe
the industry is there.
Maybe we're gonna get there.
Forget cottage.
After this. Because if we have somebody who is sitting in office and has been pushed enough and recognizes that there needs to be more done and they have to be actively doing stuff to push, as you're saying.
Industry is already there. It just needs support.
They need the support. They need the partnership of Big Brother, who's like, okay, there's a whole, I know what you guys need. You guys need these sorts of cameras. You need these sorts of things. These are the sorts of props and blah, blah, blah. And, or these sites, having that expertise would help go a long way.
It's already there.
Okay.
My friend.
So in your...
it's already there.
So in your take, then they should not be doing this.
No, they can do it, but here's the thing. You have not set anything in place to really nurture what is locally already available.
And that's why you go and you learn.
You benchmark.
No. No.
Thank you. This is benchmarking. No. This is benchmarking.
Yeah.
And getting
Bro,
and getting information because like what Uno is saying that if the government were to come out with a policy and saying, okay, this you need to have local blah 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 and it has to be all local content, then it's going to push the industry. If the product sucks and we don't have enough,
you see,
no,
wait.
You
can't say that product.
I said wait.
Wait.
I said if the product sucks, or we're not at a standard where people who are doing
Niger movies, with witchcraft,
not Niger. The Spanish ones.
By the way, the Nigerians,
the Spanish ones with
telenovela. The Nigerians also have very high quality movies. They started with those witchcraft movies.
Yes.
But by the way, Nigerians have some very high quality movies.
But there was support already in place for them to everyone and everything. And by the time that they're going on,
you're right. So it has to be a collective effort. But we also have to have our own ingrown folks, our people, the producers, the guys making the movies, all of that.
But they're there already. But they don't.
Remember,
they don't get,
how many film schools are in Kenya that you know of? That actually remove guys who can use a camera.
How many film production companies, rather movie production, not just film production?
Okay, we have quite a number of movie production companies. I'm talking about a place that trains you to pick up a camera and learn how to use the camera.
I don't know. Do you?
So that
how many are there?
Very few.
How many?
And the biggest one that we had was Nani's, and it died. Muhammad Ali. Remember
Muhammad Amin?
Muhammad Amin.
Okay, how many in Nigeria?
Oh,
I don't know.
They're countless.
No.
Nigeria.
I don't know.
Let me tell you.
I don't know.
I don't have a name.
I don't know.
But let me tell you something about Nigeria when it comes to the movie industry.
I don't know. But if you go to YouTube and you just look, you'll see those things there.
Let me say something.
I don't know.
Let me say something about Nigeria. Nollywood is the biggest employer in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the biggest employer in Nigeria.
Of course they would be. When every time in Kenya at 12 p.m. daytime Afro cinema continues. Kenyans are consuming Nigerian content everywhere. I'm going to say in Kenya. I don't know about other countries. Of course, at
Nigerian
some point...
content is consumed everywhere.
No. That's what I'm saying.
It's consumed everywhere.
But it's like 90% of
they
content...
first started,
it's
their
90%.
Content sucked.
It's 90%.
Yeah,
it was at point...
Sucked
at one point, it was 90% of content being consumed in Kenya.
Now...
That's what I'm saying.
Now...
There's no support.
Okay. Not to deviate from the point that we're trying to make here about the event that the president is coming to in Atlanta.
So he's supposed to arrive on the 20th. Okay. 21st, I know he's going to be at Tyler Perry Studios. But the flyer that I have for the event in Atlanta is actually, and Woody had asked about that flyer that I have is for 20th May on Monday at 3 p.m. and it's supposed to be a Cobb Galleria Convention Center.
Cobb Galleria, Woody, are you in Cobb?
So I will confirm whether this date is still true, because my thought is that if he's actually coming in and landing on the 20th, unless he's coming in the morning,
and that will be too much.
Yeah, I don't see how he's going to be in Atlanta at 3 p.m. on the 20th. I suspect it's going to be at 3 p.m. on the 21st. Okay. So I think that when this flyer came out, they had not narrowed it down.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be at Cobb Galleria Convention Center. So Woody will try to get you more information, and once we have it, we'll also post to our people in terms of where in Atlanta.
So that answers Woody's where in ATL is he coming. Then he proceeds to say, why would Tyler host a movie in Kenya? And he has a studio, and even the exit to his studios is called Paler Exit. Is it Paler Exit? I'm not sure.
Anyway, okay.
So I think here's a deal. You know, like just so you know, the One Mic Show did get an official invite, and DJ Omosh Fire is gonna go be our representative there. You know, because he's the most neutral in the group. We've been accused before of being unneutral. especially when it comes to the president. So
I am the most neutral
Boss,
amongst us three.
yeah, Omosh is fairly neutral. You
Boss,
know, like
have you felt that Mark train run over you?
Yeah. so here's the deal. Omosh Fire, when you go to ATL, you know, please try to get details. Hata kama utaandika notes of understanding how this visit to Tyler Perry Studios,
Correct.
because now we're talking from the outside.
Yeah.
This visit to Tyler Perry Studios, how it's supposed to translate to Kenya. Because when I'm thinking about it, if what we're trying to build is local content, is Tyler Perry Studios coming in as to help build local content creators, or is Tyler Perry also bringing his own, because he has a whole production?
Correct.
Or is he bringing his own people to come and shoot movies in Africa, like bringing his own actors?
I think it's
to
going to
go
be,
shoot movies.
I think
in
it's going to be a collabo, and that's why they're calling it a partnership. I think it's going to be a collabo. But to one Mike's point, it would make sense that because you see you're coming in with this guy who's got a master's, or should I say a PhD in movies, right? He will come in. He will teach you how to get your industry to where they are. Yeah. And at the same token, he's also going to utilize whatever resources you have that may benefit him. So it's going to be a mutual partnership where everybody's gaining. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Because personally,
it'll be a symbiotic relationship.
Because I think a president visiting a movie studio is a very big public relations win for the studio.
Correct.
Yeah, because this is a whole president who's visiting the studio, which maybe if I was and maybe that's the reason why I'm not the president. If I was a president, I would have done, you know, like things a bit different.
And I think the reason
is Tyler Perry organizing the visit?
I don't even know. I don't even know if Tyler Perry will even be there.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I have no
Who's
clue.
organizing the visit?
I just know who's going. Okay. I have no clue.
Some Nigerian guy. But that let's not distract the story.
Achuna Pacho says industry is infrastructure. Kaiser Soze says, is there funding for small movies? Is it pro-formative? It's pro-formative, is it? Onyango Ohingo says, Ali is simply saying that movie production in Kenya is not as developed in scale as in Nigeria and SA.
Correct.
Doesn't mean it's non-existent.
Yes,
same to fishing in Kenya and Japan.
That's Nigerian knowledge thinking. Onyango Ohingo is also
but you see how this guy wanted to swallow us.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The Nigerian thinking is leading Nairobi right now, Nairobi County. Kaiser Soze says if there is no local funding, no industry. Washeke says there also needs financial incentives from the government to nurture local. All the government is doing is killing local via excessive taxation and bureaucracy. Washeke continues. Udi says, Cobb Galleria, he's hosting us at the ghetto.
Where Udi? Where
Kaiser says, can he ask RUTO able plans for us descendants? Lots of Caribbeans in Kenya with no status.
Wow.
So no, what they can do is they can send their questions. We'll see if the questions will even be allowed.
Kaiser Soze.
We don't send your questions in.
There you go.
Since now we are here, Samrak, Karibu Samrak, Asante for listening.
Samrak is over there.
Yes, he's on YouTube. And Samrak was saying his question was to demand additional consular services in Atlanta, Seattle, Washington, Texas, and Massachusetts, as well as Minnesota, because he said add Minnesota to serve the diaspora. And my take on it is you cannot have all these people everywhere. It's going to cost somebody something. That's just my take on it. But I think we actually have money where we can actually...
You think?
I think, well, what was it, 2 billion a day? That was
by UK standards. Carry on.
So Samrak also had said, and this is something we didn't touch on, and I'm sorry we didn't get to touch on it, and maybe we'll get to Chambwet another day. Was his question was, what are your thoughts on the Kenya doctor strike, and how was it called off?
Well, that's a topic for another week.
Because yes, Samrak Pole, we didn't get to touch on that. Our what is it? Meli Mekua Siji Nanga. I don't know. It has won. Shuka. Yes. That
we need
to get somebody who
can address that.
Yeah, or even a doctor.
Yeah, but
the government spokesperson, deputy government spokesperson.
But also outside the Atlanta trip.
Yes.
We also need to figure out,
I don't know what the rest of the schedule is, or what the rest of his schedule is, because I suspect that there's also going to be, they may not be saying it, but maybe he may just not have time.
So
in DC.
So we have
to meet folks.
DC will be very choreographed. I don't think he'll have a chance to meet folks in DC.
Yeah.
So I think with DC, this is of course an official state visit. It's the biggest platform any president can ever get in the United States.
Yeah.
So all the media is gonna be on him. All the media is gonna be on Kenya. So I don't know what plans they have to. This is it's an opportunity to sell Kenya,
yes,
in so many different ways.
Correct.
And
everywhere, not so many, in everywhere.
Yes.
From the farmer to the fishmonger to name it.
And then
there needs to be somebody.
Possibility. There was a letter that was written to Congress, to the Speaker of Congress, to allow him to address Congress. This is a very rare opportunity that presidents get. I don't know whether that will happen or not.
I think it's going to happen.
Then we also have a pending trade agreement. This trade agreement has some poisonous clauses. It has some poisonous clauses that I think need to be taken care of.
We need to look at it. We need to look at that clause
Yes.
We need to look at it from our perspective.
The question becomes this: whatever we have access to, is that the latest one that is being chambered, or that's the one that we're being shown?
So there's the one that the U.S. So there's what they call U.S. trade representative negotiation objectives. So that one you'll find on the USTR website, U.S. Trade Representative website. There's one, I think, that's on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, which is the Kenyan objectives. And unfortunately, I read the Kenyan one. I felt like they just went and read the American one,
and then they changed.
And then they rewrote
Twisted,
it.
Yeah.
They asked ChatGPT to twist it kidogo, and because they seemed to be mirror images, and this should have been totally opposite. I think one opportunity that they should have taken advantage of is give Kenyans 10-year visas. Like Rwanda, is in this a trade agreement? Give Kenyans who are applying for visas to the US 10-year visas. Like I think Rwanda, people from Rwanda, I think, get 10-year visas when they get to come to America. Kenyans are having a lot of problems.
But I think Kenyans have the option to get the 10-year visa.
Nope. No.
Is it 10 or 5?
No, it's 5 years.
It's not. Or 5, not 10.
There's
5.
no option for 10. After 5 years, it expires.
Oh, it's the 5. It's the 5, not the 10. It's
yes.
So are they automatically giving 5, or it's 5 if you're someone who has come a number of times? Because I think it's their first time
you get the 5-year visa. What you're talking about is what they stamp when you get to the airport. Because when you come to America, they will stamp for you a certain number of days. It could be 30 days, it could be 90 days. Sometimes you could be given up to 6 months, depending on how that immigration officer feels, or depending on what you said you are coming to do. If you are coming for a conference and the conference is over, they might give you a month. So that's and this is where I think they could have also, the way Americans, if you look at the American document, they have sneaked in so many things that have nothing to do with trade that are gonna, get us in trouble. And it's gonna benefit them, and it's gonna get us in trouble in future. So I think they should have done the 10-year visa thing. They should also have done, the way
I'd say no fees.
You have the way you have au pairs who come to the US.
Yes.
From some European countries. The only African country where au pairs who allowed to come here as au pairs is South Africa. So why not also add Kenya to the list? I'm not a big fan of exporting labor, but these are temporary jobs that I think you can do them over a short period of time and go back home.
That au pair job, that part of the responsibility of the employers to educate you.
Yes, that's part of the responsibility, and that's why I'm saying these are just some of the things.
It's not a bad gig.
It's not a bad gig.
Yeah,
it's not a bad gig. So these are just some of the things that I'm saying. These are some of the things that we should have sneaked in to kind of benefit our people.
Did you see anything about next week? Did you see anything about equipment? farm equipment, you know, things like in a John Deere, blah blah blah. Because you know, there's certain things, like let's say farming equipment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So here's the thing: if I was the president of Kenya, you know, and no shade to the entertainment industry, I would have focused on watu kama kina John Deere. You know, like companies that I know where we already have an existing presence, an existing industry, where I know the presence of a certain company could benefit a very big number of Kenyans. Now, the thing is, I have my own theory why they went to do the movie, why they went the movie route. I have my own theory why they did that. Public relations.
Okay.
Public relations, aesthetics. I hope I'm totally wrong. I hope, you know, like by next year, we are just having Kenyan actors who are being paid, you know, like $100,000 a movie, you know, like 500. I hope so. I'll be so happy, you know, like if that happens. But to me, I think it would have been better to go to places where we already have some semblance of an industry, such that if we get, you know, like commitment by a certain company, let's say like to have footing in Kenya, we already know this is gonna employ, you know, like maybe 10,000 people if they come to Kenya. So that's just my thinking. But they chose the movie route. I hope it works.
Yeah, and Ali, I'm with you on the John Deere one, because something people don't know or may not know, or do you know that John Deere has, and it's something that they've been doing a lot. They have, you can actually farm using your tractor, depending on which tractor it is, you know, and it's basically automated.
Oh, that I did not know, like a self-driving tractor.
Correct.
But now where the tractor driver
we have
is
them.
get
No, we have them in Kenya. The guys who are using them, we have them in Kenya.
Ah, okay, I did not know.
And
that.
what it does, that tractor has software and everything. It comes on your phone and everything. And what it does is it's kind of like the e-vacuum ya nyumba. That one that
the robo vacuum.
Yes. So it maps out your land for you. It will go out, it will till for you, it will do whatever. So you program what you want it to do. Unaianzisha, and it's doing the job.
So that will be good for large scale farming.
Correct. And or even if you have like 2 acres or 3, depends. Sasa na mfuko yako, right? Yeah. Because you can have that tractor doing what it's doing while you're doing something else. You know what I'm saying? So as a farmer, because farming is very expensive, it's extremely expensive. Yeah. So if you put in the correct tools and the correct things in place,
yes,
then
agribusiness.
Yes.
Yeah. Agribusiness is something that can get very big.
I know guys here in the US who have those tractors doing those sorts of jobs for them in Kenya.
I live, I think it's 7-8 minutes from a part of Montgomery County that's an agricultural reserve, meaning there can never be any development there. And there's a John Deere dealership out there, and there's a lot of big farms that you'll see out there growing wheat, growing all kinds of crops that I don't even know exactly.
Combine harvesters is another one.
Yes.
And in this area of Maryland, also with the way that I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you're driving to Delaware, you know the way they have what is it called? The way they water. Yeah. They have these irrigation system that are long pipes that are sitting on.
If you drive to Ocean City,
yes,
you will see a lot of them.
You see,
you're going towards Ocean City.
And now imagine if you put in that type of system in a maize growing area, or like you said, wheat or whatever. And because I've always wondered, like, how do they? And it looks like it's a very simple system,
and that significantly reduces the cost of farming.
Correct.
Yeah, and will reduce the cost of
but
of food.
Again, remember, farming here is subsidized.
Farming here is very heavily subsidized.
Heavily subsidized.
Yeah. If you're YouTube people,
okay, it's heavily subsidized. So the whole point of it is that those sorts of things you would probably try to pick up and get from here, because again, we are a big agricultural economy, and we can push it harder or farther, and there's areas where land is not being utilized at the level it should be utilized for growing crops, especially tuseme ile side ya kwenda towards TZ If you're going towards Amboseli, all
Taveta, Taita Taveta.
No. This where you can see even Mount Kilimanjaro. What the heck is this area called? Peter, you're going. You see You can see Mount Kilimanjaro where the Maasais are. It's one side is
Narok?
Maasais. No. It's all. God dang it, I have to remember. But they do a lot of vegetables.
Okay.
In that area.
Yeah.
And you Peter Amboseli. You Peter Amboseli. You keep going. Like you're going to TZ. It's still Kenya, and they're on each side of the border. Kuna Maasais.
Yeah.
There are Maasais on the Kenya side, and there are Maasai on the other side.
Okay.
I forget.
Am I talking about Namanga?
No.
Achona Pacho says John Deere has a footprint in Kisumu.
Okay.
They are everywhere.
DJ Christian financial, that guy.
Uh-huh.
Kuja Delaware, utaona farming.
Yeah,
Delaware
also
farming
very
is
large scale farming.
Yeah, especially dairy in Delaware. It's scary.
Yeah.
Now, over here, I just got a text. Interesting. Yo, I'm listening to your show. There are very many Kenyan movies and TV series on Showmax and Netflix. You might want to check out that are very good and high quality. There are very many film schools in Kenya. Very many, at least 20, 30, 40 of them. Let's start with Riara University. And he says the last thing. So I asked him, so he says, the last thing, the problem with the Kenyan film industry is the audience. They don't want to pay to watch. They just want to watch free. In my opinion, the standard of quality of video and or production is very high, almost at par as Hollywood, but there is no support from the audience. Ruto is also going to CDC, the disease place. Something to do with Cambry.
Oh, I didn't know he's going to do the
CDC Atlanta.
as well.
I don't know.
And that's great if he's going to go to CDC.
Now, is this information out there for the public to see? Because I think I'm getting it piecemeal, and this is
we don't know the itinerary.
The problem has been communication.
Yeah, the communication is
from the government.
Yeah. But could they like even maybe on the State House website, or even the embassy, and I don't know if I should be saying this. The embassy is also on the dark.
So if the embassy is on the dark,
it's also in the dark on
Sembuse Sisi.
On some of the issues.
Sembuse Sisi.
But it's always that adage of chaps shouldn't know. That's what the adage is. It's guys shouldn't know. Like, if Biden is going to Kenya, we know exactly where he's going.
We know exactly
he's going.
Even his routine.
Yeah, we know everything.
Forget even Kenya. Even his daily press, whatever is going here is going here.
No, there's information they just don't give, and maybe his security people are like, we are not going to give this information.
And that translates to even their disaster management response.
You
don't know what's going on.
You guys are going to get me thrown out before I get it.
So I mean, almost when you go there, get for us what you can get.
Should I say that I know Ali, or I should deny you?
Deny me.
Okay.
Deny me like Iscariot, because
utamruka kipetero kiyesu.
I'll be singing that song.
Yeah, huko kiniruka ni sawa. Mimi there was no, I mean, like, and this is just me. The only way I would have gone to be in the same space as RUTO is if I have this, because this is one question I would ask him.
Arafat.
Yes, this is one question I would ask him. Our foreign policy, in regards to, for example, like a place where war has broken out, and we have a president tweeting, just saying, like, we stand with Israel, we stand with this, and this is something that could this is a very big war. Like now you have also like Iran involved. We sell a lot of tea to Iran. Like because in Kenya, there's no clarity. Like where you see, like the way South Africa has a lot of clarity on where they stand on this issue.
Yes.
We only have tweets from the president. I mean, of course, we know the president's opinion, but we don't know the country's stance. So unless, they will allow me to go on the Rose Garden with this.
They will.
No, they won't. No, they won't. Trust me.
Ama, your name will be...
No, but his name is already flagged like 6 times. So how is he going in?
No, they won't. Or maybe if I hide it and then
you
once I'm on the lawn and the cameras are on,
you remove it.
I unleash them. Once I call guys of Fox News, come here. Yeah. I'm a Kenyan. Take a video of me.
I'm a Senator Tom Cotton.
Tom Cotton.
Idiot.
Hey, that guy looks like...
Guy's an idiot. Tom Cotton is an idiot.
Is that the guy of... that's the guy of Come Here I Fight You?
That guy of, I think, one of the... You're talking about...
Is from one of those southern states. Is it
Arkansas? Something like that.
Yeah, even his name, I think he must...
He's an idiot.
I think that was a guy of Come I Fight You. I could be wrong.
And he's also a guy of IPAC. So anyway, he's an idiot.
Yeah. Anyway.
Na wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Fire that Samosh.
Yo. Again, to our listeners, Asanteni, thanks a lot. To our peeps for staying with us when we are over here chambuaring, singing songs of redemption. So I guess you guys are let the cat out of the bag. Munanunua tikiti? Munaninunulia tikiti?
Tikiti ya nini?
Ya kwenda Atlanta. You're on air.
Can you please wrap it up?
I guess Omosh is not going. Thank you, people. We'll be here again next week. This month, what is this? Yeah, there's a holiday that's coming up. So, yes, there is.
Memorial.
Yes. So, your Friday, watu wanze kujipanga. Mwanze kujipanga sahi. I'm trying to warn you guys and help you guys so that you start pangaring your Fridays accordingly. But Mikasi, as usual, tuko pamoja. We are with you. And to all the victims of the floods in Kenya, those displaced, I guess at this point I would call them internally displaced. They're IDPs at this point. Poleni. Hopefully the Gava is going to do better, and that 10,000 is not just 10,000 for you to go spend, but they will house you and all of that, and then the 10,000 is given to you above, so you're not going out of your way to use the 10,000 to go for housing. That's a question that I may pose as well and ask for clarification, because it's very vague, and what's happening on the ground versus what was said is just not acceptable. But with that said, asanteni. See you guys next week.
All right. Asante sana DJ Omosh Fire. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Now, next week, we're not sure what we're going to have next week. We are trying to get a government official to come and give us more details about the upcoming trip, so that people who want to go see the president or who want to just know what the president is doing and how it's going to benefit us can have an opportunity to do that. Once again, I want to thank everybody, na kwa hayo machache yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie anataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Yeah, I forgot something, Ali. You do realize that there's a holiday, an actual real holiday.
Today?
No, that's coming this weekend.
Sunday. It was an official holiday in Kenya today.
It's an actual holiday that it's not a holiday.
It's not a holiday,
but it's a day that we recognize.
Yeah.
So to all the mothers out there, hata vile nilikuwa nimesahau. Why? Jesus. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. And even those who are serving in the role of being mothers, happy Mother's Day. It's Sunday the 12th. So I want to send a shout out to all the mothers. People say there are some fathers who have that motherly role, but
don't go there.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't go there.
I'm just saying. But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Also happy Mother's Day to my own mother. And I'm lucky to have her with me. So I appreciate. And to all the mothers for my friends, all the mothers for those who are not my friends, all the mothers for those who could be my friends, happy Mother's Day.
Okay. Now, I also got I don't know that this is an official schedule, but someone sent me a schedule.
Yes.
For the president when he comes to Atlanta. So he's landing on the 20th of May at 12:40 p.m.
Where is he landing?
In Atlanta.
Also,
arrival ceremony at airport, greeted by U.S. VVIP, military, and Georgia officials. At 3 p.m., I think this is the same day,
yes.
highlighting global democracy partnership at the Carter Presidential Library and Museum.
Okay.
That's on Monday, May the 20th. And the talks are going to have themes of governance, democratic values, anti-corruption, democracies working together. So, and then they say President Ruto's commitment to fighting corruption, supporting election integrity, and democratic values. And
that's at the Jimmy Carter Library.
Yes, this is at the Carter Presidential Library.
Okay.
Yes, and then the audience, it says the press and Carter Center officials. So I don't know whether the general public will be allowed in for this. Duration for potential remarks 10 minutes, and then on that, wow, is this on the same day? Yeah, this is on the same day.
Boss, that schedule is packed.
So he's visiting Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Okay, that's across the street.
That location, that's MLK's Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Yes.
And the themes are going to be civil rights, tolerance, religion as a force for social progress. The audience, it's a private event.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably been arranged with the church. And by the way, that's Martin Luther King's church, and also where he was buried. He's buried like literally in the church next.
And then
to the church.
4:30 p.m., transforming the U.S.-Kenya Health Partnership. The location is at CDC headquarters.
Okay.
The themes: history of strong U.S.-Kenya Health Partnership. And then there'll be an announcement of a new CDC-Kemri partnership. Support for 10x expansion of HIV rapid test kits. Other health initiatives, and then CDC director and global leadership. You say leadership, Kenya nationals working at CDC, and then it says PRES, CDC, and local medical healthcare community. Duration for potential remarks 10 minutes, and then open possible briefing with Government of Kenya team, diaspora event, press events, private engagement with VVIP. So I don't know if Mosh you are VVIP, but
I can be a very VVIP person.
Yeah, and then it's gonna go 9 a.m. On Tuesday, May 21st.
Yes.
Investing in a shared future through higher education. Location: Atlanta University Center at Morehouse. So here, let me see.
Do they talk about the time periods you see there?
Sure. Let me see. Yeah, so 11 a.m. Creative Economy Growth Policy and Potential Partnership, Tyler Perry Studios Tour with State of Georgia officials. So I doubt if Tyler Perry will be there. You know, like, to me, if I'm a president, if I'm going there, Tyler Perry, you better show up. And
he might be. You never know.
Creative Economy is a job creator, blah, blah, blah. Announcement. Creative Economy Partnerships, Grammys, duration for potential remarks, 10 minutes.
At the Grammys?
So that's what they've wrote here. Creative Economy Partnerships, Grammys. So I don't know. I mean, this is the same at Tyler Perry Studios. So I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe that's just a breakdown of the breakout sessions.
Yeah, then it's going to go to Coca-Cola or Delta. So I don't understand what they mean by Coca-Cola or Delta. So it means it's not even confirmed.
Maybe this person or whoever sent you the thing had not gotten
Coca-Cola and Delta are
no.
the main career.
Yeah, but it's or. It's not both.
It's not both. It says Coca-Cola 2:30 p.m., Coca-Cola or Delta. And then at 3:30 p.m., wow, this is...
Yeah, that guy's schedule is tight.
Probably like sardines, bruv.
Vivo Fashion Group.
So when is he
Vivo
meeting?
Retail Store is the first store for Kenyan entrepreneurs, so he's visiting, I think, a Kenyan store. I think that's a good thing. And then
So when is our meeting with the Kenyans? Is it that day, the 21st?
this is what I don't know. 6 p.m. Atlanta-based companies deliver shared prosperity and city launches. Private sector event. I am not seeing the part where Kenyans.
So I don't know about that meeting with folks, because they say that he was meeting on the 20th. But according to your calendar, on the 20th at 3 p.m. he's supposed to be meeting Kenyans.
Yeah, but from that schedule, I don't know what time that's
that
going to be.
schedule is tight.
Yeah. And then, like in when it comes to DC, travel, arrival at Andrews, arrival at Blair House, official ceremony, White House lawn, U.S.-Kenyan partnership, audience, press, and 2,000 plus Kenyans and Americans. Duration for remarks, 3 to 5 minutes. So
that's the one that you missed registering for,
it's the one that I did not register for deliberately, not missed.
You should have told on Mike.
And then they say to 30 p.m. Joint address to Congress if offered, in brackets.
Okay.
Yeah. So
they're leaving that. Yeah. So I think this schedule is an old schedule, even though it's close. But I think it's an old schedule.
Yeah, it probably is an old one.
Yeah. There's some things that are not in there.
Yeah. So there's gonna be a joint press conference at the White House on
the
Thursday, May 23rd at 12:30. So yeah. So we'll we'll review this again. But clearly, I'm looking at this program. Kenyans, poleni. You're not
anywhere.
Yeah. So APA, interesting security cooperation that protects people across the globe, hosted by Secretary of Defense Austin. Location Pentagon. Announcement: Kenya as a major non-NATO ally. You know what that means? Let me not say.
Are you trying to say that watakuwa hapo wakinini?
I'm not gonna say.
Wakirusha mishale kule nini?
This I'm not gonna
kwa
say.
Yahudi.
Yeah, but
they already have a base anyway. What's that something island? What's that island? The US base?
Manda Bay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Higher.
You are supposed to be. Have you even said bye to people?
I've already said bye.
You have not even said ya mujukuu kitaka sijui.
I already did.
You did.
Can you tell
did.
mom Mother's
yeah,
Day?
yes.
Happy Mother's Day, mom.
Thank you. Graz. Asante, I know you uko barabarani.
Mujukuu is not feeling like he's mujukuu today.
To all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Nina moturi. Happy Mother's Day. I got schooled. Mother's Day is for your mother.
Not for your
mother.
Not for your significant other who has mothered your child.
The children wish their mother happy Mother's Day.
So you wish your mother
happy Mother's Day. Nina Moturi, Mama Njeri, Mama Nimo, Mama Eden. Happy Mother's Day. Is that better for you?
No, but you didn't.
What?
So you call your mom by her name?
No, I just said Nina Muturi. Mama ya Muturi.
Nina is mama?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day. Until next week, inshallah, be blessed. DJ Machachari Buddha Boss.
Hakuna mziki wewe.
Hakuna mziki?
Hakuna mziki. Kata hiyo kitu.
Jagadi.
Somebody better edit this thing. Plus that J with that D that you said.
Give that